Public notice of nonprofit educational fair use in compliance with Title 17, Section 107 of the United States Copyright Code. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, video media, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This infringement of copyright is called, quote, fair use, end quote, and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody. Any attempts to remove this video from the internet will be met with a legal challenge.
Team Yahweh Shai Productions.
Not know yet what, where, and how this outside source is mechanically working, so to speak, but from an engineer's perspective, everything that works like a machine or clock must have a basic principle and laws of physics to discover its nature. We just have to figure out where to go from here and what experiments can be derived to either build on this or modify the basic concept. With this concept, we can boldly say we have created a working flat Earth model that can be held up to scrutiny, evaluation, testing, and experimenting to either verify or debunk certain aspects of this model. It is therefore with great honor and humility that we present this first and only working flat Earth model with an actual base in geometry, science, and observations. In the coming weeks, we will be releasing ground views of this model to show that current sun angles are dead on correct.
What is going on, everybody? Happy to see you all on this great November 21st, leading up to the first ever American Thanksgiving for me. Let me get rid of this echo here. It is without a doubt quite a day to be together here. And let me just get this muted here. It's been so interesting, the amount of slander and dredging through the mud I've gone through. The truth is, I have dredged and slandered and drugged through the mud a lot of other people. So I stand here convicted of, I am a little bit harsh. I do admit to that. But the truth is, guys, I'm truly just here for the truth. Like, I don't care if the earth is a ball. I don't care if it's any shape. I care about the fact that we get to the truth. Big shout outs to everyone that showed up here. ROTR, Cathexis, Rana Quigs, Flat Earth Photography, Mikel. Today will be an open conversation. If anybody wants to join via Zoom, please throw it in the chat. Hello, Mr. Nate. We'll hang tight in the chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem, ROTR. So basically, today I wanted to go over some musings, some of my reflections and thoughts. It's been great to see Flat Earth Reset and MGTV doing a great job of exposing, some of the connections with Metatron and just the other Flat Earth Society memes that we all definitely knew that were going on, right? What I find interesting is their Flat Earth model. Everybody knows that they received an award, and the award was actually for this video here that they all uploaded. So basically the video is filled with contradictions and lies. We're going to get a little bit into that today, and basically let you guys know what this team is supposedly out here doing. Now, the other thing that I quickly wanted to drop on everybody is the fact that Math, the NASA channel, Matthew, whatever his name is, Boy Band Powerland, the Wizard, he goes by so many aliases like most of these insane channels. He's over here on Steve Torrance's page where they've Houston, we have a problem. Here we got Math Powerland. We at the NASA channel approve this message and support our affiliate, Steve Torrance. We'll be extending an invitation to you to present at the Real Convention in downtown Las Vegas at the new Flat Earth Research Center by Math Powerland. So what I find interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is Math, who apparently is completely opposed to the fake Flat Earth and I guess Globebusters and Bob. But well, actually, Math kind of keeps quiet on that crew. So now we've got complete connection ties to the new Flat Earth Corps, to the supposed founder of the modern day Flat Earth, which is a lie, because everyone here should know the founding father of the Flat Earth is the Flat Earth Society dot whatever. They are the ones. Okay, it was not Math who brought Flat Earth. The Flat Earth Society had been fighting for, as far as I could see, the last 100 years. So definitely they were a strong voice in the 80s as well as the 90s. There's multiple and redundant proof that the Flat Earth Society was the leading co-opted channel. And they were the leaders of bringing the Flat Earth to the mainstream. And now we've suspected all along that Mark Sargent was actually the Flat Earth Society, both sides. We still do suspect that they control that fake opposition, and then they have the supposed real Flat Earth that Mark Sargent's a part of, and this FE Core. So FE Core has this model here, and they propose that, like, well, let's watch a bit of it here.
All this outside source is
okay, well, that's not really a good spot.
But what they're stating is that they've created this algorithm or machine that's mapped out. These are supposedly over an AE map, the one that doesn't work. These are supposedly sun and moon and star rises and sets, or I guess the sun. The problem is the sun actually goes, 180 degrees, south on December 21st. It does not curve up into the north. And it doesn't matter how much computing power you have, you'll never be able to change the actual observations that we see. So just because you can turn on some shiny lights and create some sort of a pattern doesn't mean that you're absolutely onto anything. And I don't think these field corps engineers, I don't even know if they really are engineers, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think they are. If anybody else has some proof that anyone on their team is an actual engineer, I'd love to know, because they're calling themselves field engineers, right? So they're not even engineers. This here is a joke, what they've done. This has been so debunked. What do you mean you can't see my screen? Should be able to. Let's see here. Can you see my screen now? You should be able to. I'll go back here.
But the model became so heavy with data and tiny hair-thin tracer lines that even with a super machine, we couldn't render the result.
So basically, because they were trying to do something that's absolutely impossible, which would be to change the physics and observations that we actually see so that they fit on their actual fake flat Earth azimuthal equidistant map, they've had to build this Bitcoin faking kind of this big machine.
Some trial and error, we finally managed to get a clear view on the end result.
So this is supposed, 10 or 15 observations. They don't explain that at all, but it supposedly charts out this plot. So the problem is, this is impossible. Okay. So there's two poles on the Earth that we live on. So there's a pole in the south and a pole in the north. That's not over a ball. That's on the flat plane. And we have what's called the prime meridian. And the prime meridian is the line that goes straight down between the two poles. So basically, there would have to be another circle down here for this to work. So the sun would have to be doing somewhat of a figure eight pattern. And that's just, it's never observed. The analemma is something totally different than that, right? That's one snapshot. So as the sun rises and sets, so the sun always goes across the screen, across our vision, rising from the east and setting in the west. And it either goes, it curves and the trajectory is measured moving to the north in the summer, and the trajectory moves going to the south in the winter. So it does that type of an action over the flat plane. But these people here, I don't know if they're convinced on just deceiving people, but they bring all these magnetic, and all they want to do is just take you away from the truth. They want to just have you look at these gadgets and glass bubbles, and we don't actually see any glass bubbles in reality. We don't see anything like that, right? And even like this here,
which probably uses light polarization.
So I'd like to see if anybody else has ever seen this slit experiment. I'd like to actually see the footage of how they observed the waves and the patterns. Because every time I've ever seen anyone expressing the scientific experiment, they show us CGI. So I'm looking for actual real evidence that they've, watched photons and observed how they react. As far as I can see, I've never seen any. So right here, we know that they're trying to say they're engineers. They don't have any engineers on their team, or they haven't, showed us the documentations. not like a piece of paper matters, but I'm just trying to get at the point that this field engineers corps, in my opinion, is just here to co-opt, set up, and destroy flat Earth. So
it is projected into the magnetic field and rendered through the atmosphere. It is no coincidence that all sun arcs combined create this torus-like.
No, all sun arcs combined do not create anything even remotely close to this. This is absolute joke. There's only one pole on this map. Again, ladies and gentlemen, there is 2 poles, and you can check Kofo 72. He's filmed the southern celestial star rotation, and you cannot mimic that with a circling sun that goes north. This is just absolute mockery, and this is what was awarded as the #1 experiment of the year. This video here,
field, and this is version 1.0.
1.0. So then they skew the further they skew the map here and go further and further and further. They show you some fancy clocks, and this is what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. This entire video, I can go through it and just show you how absolutely ridiculous these guys are. They are not on our team. They are not with us. They still believe that like this is what's happening, and it's so absolutely not observed. It's impossible, because people in South Africa and people in South Australia see the same stars at night. They're looking completely opposite directions, right? Like it's impossible for these people to see the same things. And there are so many debunks that we've done on this map and this model. It's so easily measured. And I believe we're going to be doing some observations together. Maybe December 21st. We're going to have to wait. Awake Souls he's got a bunch of works going on, and he's going to be producing some excellent stuff. We're going to be able to go live on his channel, and there's going to be some new things that we're going to offer to the community, because that's what we're really here for. Here's a comment from Rune. I feel like being a rear here. 2 celestial poles does not say anything about the magnetic poles. No, I'm not saying there's magnetic poles. I'm just saying that you need to have 2 spots in the sky that rotate, and not a circular fashion like this. One's going the other way. But everybody knows that. This is my hangout today was supposed to be about talking about just reflections on what we're seeing and what's going on, and flatter. Part-time vegan was going to join, a couple other people, but we're just waiting. So if anyone has any comments so far, I'll quickly go back over. We got the NASA channel supporting Flat Earth Core, this engineers crew. We don't even know if they are engineers. And this is the map and model. We've extensively debunked and disproven this entire video, part 1 and part 2. We did it in September. It's just unbelievable that they admit that map doesn't work, and then they go on to tell you they're going to continue working with the map. Then they ask you a complete misnomer. They ask you if you travel across a lake and you observe crepuscular rays, and you then travel across the lake and see the crepuscular rays from the other side, are they going to be shining away from you? And the problem is no. Like you'd have to travel 6,000 or 7,000 miles. You'd have to change tropics. If you live in the north, you'd have to go to the south to have the crepuscular rays change. Everything that we observe in the sky via the sun, the moon, and the stars is rendered specifically to each one of us, and is within our circle of sight. That's how we have interactions with clouds. And Enslaved by Media, nice to see you, has been doing some great job, as well as Mikael from Flat Earth Photography, truly exposing how close the sun really is. I don't know who Tom Campbell is, mybigtoe.com. He's been, oh, cool, simulation. Oh, and he uses the double slit experiment. Yeah, the double slit test 2.0. Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. It is bullocks. It's the same thing that this field engineers crap. They just come up with absolute garbage. They try to instill absolute non sequitur topics, things that don't make any sense. And you know, they try to call themselves engineers, but they're not. Um, we've been calling them out for a long time. We know what's going on. Um, so that's pretty much where I wanted to start with that. And if anybody else wants to see us disprove and debunk, you just have to type in, you know, this stuff on our channel, and you will find tons of experience and proof and debunks basically. What else did I want to touch upon here? QNF put in another video with gematria, and yeah, I don't really want to fight with QNF. If y'all want to follow QNF, please. Like I said, I've promoted his work tons and tons of times. So if you all want to follow him, that's cool. I don't think a fight back and forth between Q and Fee is really worth anything. As for the gematria, it does hold significant, interesting patterns. But here's my few questions for gematria fans. If y'all know who Russian Vids was, and Zachary K. Hubbard, they were both huge promoters of this gematria. So I noticed that it was brainwashing people. It seemed like a joke where they try to put these numbers together to constantly have you looking at the numbers and forgetting about what they're actually putting in front of your face, the actual lies that they're perpetrating. But see, for me, the problem with gematria is you can use, Chaldean, you can use Jewish, reduced, you can use English. Then you like add all the numbers together, and then all of a sudden, sometimes when you need the number to be times, you add a time signature, full reduction. So basically, all gematria is you take a number you finish with, or you search for 666, you do your little thing, and then you back engineer everything. I'm not saying that gematria isn't interesting to look at, but it's so contrived. It's mathemagic. Basically, it's just a card trick with words. But if y'all want to go and check out QNF and stay with him, please be my guest. Do your thing. But for me, I'm not dealing with Q. He's proven himself to be a horrible researcher. And gematria is just like brainwashing. It's indoctrination. Every time 33, 44, 40, 20, 7, 7. It's not real. It has no power over me. I'm a Christian. I believe the scriptures are the truth, not gematria. And that's where I'm going. And I don't know what Q's doing or where Q's going, but he was someone that I considered a friend, and I shared like over 30 of his videos and promoted him for the entire time I've known him. And he wants to start calling out me and Jason with absolute horrible research. But I'm not going to be going back and forth with QNF anymore. I will not bring his name up anymore unless, you know, he does great work. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about today, is that on my channel, I have called out quite a few shills and Satanists, but people need to understand that anyone who doesn't gather with the creator that I serve scattereth abroad. So basically, anyone who doesn't read the scriptures and allow that the truth, the creator of the simulation into your life, to me is scattering abroad. You're working for the wrong team. So it doesn't mean that I believe that all Satanists are drinking baby's blood and performing some sort of rituals. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean that you haven't found the creator. You are with the liar, the father of lies, which is Satan, because he wants people not to follow the creator. This whole experience here in what I would call a holographic or holodeck type life that we've been avatared into is to be good people, to do good works, to learn lessons, to feel pain, to find ways to fight oppression, to build your spirit. And that's what we're doing here. And like, I've had problems with channels like Dan Pratt. I've had problems with channels like Will from The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction, just doing absolute Gnostic, in my opinion, just way over the line videos and constantly. But when anybody out here does a video that has really good information, I'm going to share it, regardless of whether you're a shill, whether you're a troll for or Team Satan. if you put out something that's true, I will clip it and use it because I'm here for the truth. A lot of people are forming these teams and boundaries, and it really absolutely doesn't have any justification, or it's like making borders. It's fake. Okay, like this fake engineer corps. It's fake. Okay, these people want to become like the government, and then somehow get them to change their ways. Does anybody really understand how idiotic that is? That would be like me trying to join the Italian mafia and then use all their money to promote peace and flat earth, after I've done all the things to work my way through the ranks of the mafia. That's what Jaron and Bob and all these people are trying to do. They're saying they're going to be a part like the government, and they're going to defeat the government from within. They're going to expose NASA. And, hello, Houston, we have a problem. Steve, a bunch of guys are going to mimic the government patterns, the .orgs, the 501c3POs. They're not going to take down anybody. That's not how this is going to work. The problem is we need to expose the lies and share the truth at all costs. We don't want to promote any lies. We got a comment. It's been a while. Hey, Cartoon Ball. No, I hope you're well. Bouncing around. I've done it in my life as well. Stay positive, and you're going to be good. It's nice to see you again. Any other thoughts? What has everyone else been seeing lately going on? Anything that's been pressing on your minds that you wanted to discuss today? We can, I just want to keep bringing it home. I think maybe I'll play an old video because I kind of want to show with people my progression in the truth movement has come a long way. I've gone through a lot of different experiences. 2014 was a long time ago, October 4th. And I was watching YouTube for about 5 months, involved in the truther scene, but I just didn't make an account yet. But then I needed to make an account because I had to share how I felt. It's just the thing with everybody trying to say they have teams and whatever, and people siding with this team and fly. All these divisions are really useless. So shouts outs to Eric. Again, anybody who wants to join, you're more than welcome to join today. You just have to have Zoom because that's the way we go live. That way we don't get sniped by the only sniper. So does everyone else understand that, so Math Powerland is now with FE Core. This magnetic model is an absolute mockery of the truth. It doesn't mean anything at all. The Bible is the key to freedom. That's well said. I'm just going to play a video, an older video of mine. Because like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you guys have gone back and seen any of my older videos, but I've been mocked and ridiculed, and people have made horrible videos about me for like 5 years almost, So nothing's going to change with people like QNV and other people making baseless claims against me, because none of them have ever had any truth in them, because I'm here for the truth. My channel speaks for itself, right? It's you want to know anything about me, you can just type that into the search bar, and if I covered it. I was talking about AI like 2 years ago. I want to play this video for everybody because it's an interesting video of mine, and today I want everyone to get to know me a little bit different. Or this is before Flat Earth, even though I still had my doubts about certain things. Wasn't until mid 2014 that I really got on the Flat Earth train. So let's check this out. And thanks for joining me, Eric. Everybody knew, Nimble Horse. Shout out to all of you, Cartoon Ball, Rune, Mikael. Fran Anderson is a super, super nice channel. Everyone should definitely check out Fran's work. She's yeah, great person. I got a video. You can type her in on my channel, and you'll see I've shared her video and channel and in a video here before. That's what I'm here for, really. The truth. And I get so frustrated. But anyways, I'll stop rambling and let's check this video out for a minute.
So many years, so many fights, so much hate. He said that because I hoped it might hurt. I used to tell you that it was a matter of honor, that you struck me and vendetta must be observed. But that's a lie. I hate you because he was going to teach you all 7 steps of his most secret martial form instead of me. I hate you because he chose you. That's all. I had him killed by a Cobra sniper. But you, all I've wanted for years is to kill you myself.
I wanted to live well. I teach the 7th step only to you, knowing that you will use it when nothing else can save you, knowing you will pass it on as I do to a worthy student.
He didn't.
The virus took out everything. A worldwide blackout, just as they'd said. But I knew there was something more. There had to be. He created this garden for the same reason he did everything. So that they could be together.
What is the nature of consciousness? Is there a soul?
A new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move toward higher levels. Albert Einstein said that more than 50 years ago. And it couldn't be more relevant than it is today. Intelligent machines will soon allow us to conquer our most intractable challenges. Not merely to cure disease, but to end poverty and hunger, to heal the planet, and build a better future for all of us. I don't know anybody who is doing more to make that future a reality. move toward higher levels. Albert Einstein said that more than 50 years ago. And it couldn't be more relevant than it is today. Intelligent machines will soon allow us to conquer our most intractable challenges. Not merely to cure disease, but to end poverty and hunger, to heal the planet, and build a better future for all of us.
I don't know anybody who is doing more to make that future a reality than our next speaker.
For 130,000 years, our capacity for reason has remained unchanged. The combined intellect of the neuroscientists, engineers, mathematicians, and hackers in this auditorium pales in comparison to even the most basic AI. Once online, a sentient machine will quickly overcome the limits of biology. In a short time, its analytical power will be greater than the collective intelligence of every person born in the history of the world.
So, you want to create a God? Your own God?
It's a very good question. Isn't that what man has always done?
So what if it were to happen when it does happen? Stop it. Last moment, last time you look into those eyes, the possibility that end. I miss you so much. Dark.
So these are state-of-the-art quantum processors. You won't find faster computational power anywhere else in the world.
Good evening, Dr. Tagger.
See an old faculty pictures of you.
Good evening, Donald Buchanan.
It knows me.
Of course it does. DMV records, social media.
Penn? Tell Agent Buchanan about yourself.
I am PIN, a physically independent neural network invented by Dr. Will Castor.
Can you prove that you are self-aware?
That's a difficult question, Dr. Tagger. Can you prove that you are?
We can't program a machine to be self-aware because we have no idea how our own consciousness works.
That is your opinion. Just happen to be wrong.
We're glad you're here.
Jesus Christ.
Will?
You surprised to see me, Joseph?
That depends.
What?
Can you prove you're self-aware?
That's a difficult question, Dr. Can you prove that you are?
It's Raymond.
It's in the room.
Keep watching. Everywhere it can, it builds copies of itself. Particles join the air currents, which carry them all over the surface of the planet. It's in the sky, it's the land, it's in the water, it's everywhere. And next summer, we think the machine could have encased the entire planet.
Why?
The end of primitive organic life. in the dawn of a more advanced age.
So basically, the reason that I brought up this video is because I've been calling out AI and basically the demonic system that they've been trying to slowly but surely indoctrinate everyone into for quite a while. This video was published back in January 27th, 2015. It's unbelievable what's going on. If people can't, if they can't understand that what I believe, what's up part-time, yeah, well, I'll shoot you an invite right now. I'll shoot Blue his invite. 1 second. Hopefully you'll bear with me here. I do believe that the AI is set up. It's set up to basically enslave us further, and they're using Bitcoin to create their neural network system. And this is what's going on, people. We can't just be flat earthers. I feel, yeah, you can join whenever part-time vegan. We also have to explore what else they're trying to do in the simulation. Now, I'll admit, I fought heavily against the vaccines, and I still kind of do, but I think a lot of, it's touchy subjects with the simulation because manifestation of our reality is huge. So believing in the way that we feel has a huge impact on our actual surroundings. But I was right there with everybody. I've been constantly, I even promoted Powerland back when he did excellent work. Leaderless movement, they were never going to have this on TV. I believe we're joined by Blue Blood Guitar. How's it going, brother? Here's Fran. This is a video with Fran. She was talking some awesome truth. I have to promote you. And now we're joined by the one they call Blue Blood Guitar. I'll unmute you. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Did you catch the beginnings or?
No, I just got on here a couple minutes ago.
Well, yeah, I went over the fact that look who shows up on Steve Torrance's page. None other than Math Powerland, the NASA channel. So he promotes FE Core.
Oh yeah, they're all going to stick together.
It's surprising though. He was supposed to be against all of them, like he was the flat earth man. I don't know if you've been following it.
Well, he's called a few of them out, but then again, though, how genuine is that?
Yeah. Do you remember this model?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what they won their award for, right? For best research or whatever.
It's like a yellow concave Earth.
Yeah, it's with a FE flat equidistant map underneath it, Azimuthal or whatever. What did you think of the Null School? I bet you I can find it on every single internet page. You can find Journism's new video on the shared. It's on every single. If you type in Flatluck, here it is. Oh, is that it? I thought I saw it. Make me a liar. I won't put it on this page now. So you heard they took the AE map off of nullschool.org or whatever.
Yeah.
So that means it's true, right? It proves that it's a real map.
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
So what else have you been looking into or up to lately?
Actually, not too much. There's nothing new from any of them.
Has there ever been?
No. Nothing's changed in the last couple of years that I've noticed. No, I've been just trying to play guitar here and make some noise.
Yeah, that's a good pastime for sure.
I even tuned my guitars here last probably 4 or 5 songs I've uploaded I've tuned to 432 hertz.
Nice. That's interesting. Yeah.
Which means I can't play along to any covers during that in that tuning because everything else is tuned to 440 generally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if there's any truth to it being a healing frequency, I figured I'd try it, right? So it's since I tuned to that, I've been playing totally different stuff that I don't normally play, like just a different style comes out of you, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to throw mine. I used to down tune a lot, but
yeah,
there's so many different things you can do, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
frequencies and resonance, it's all pretty relative stuff. I think doesn't get talked about much.
No, it really doesn't, right? It's frequencies, they are a big deal. It carries the information.
Well, with our house being bombarded with Wi-Fi signals and everything else, the best thing you can do is create your own frequencies and drown them out. I don't know.
Yeah, I still wonder what the truth is behind the actual effects. I haven't seen them yet.
Well, I think there are technologies where they use resonance or frequencies to heal people, as far as I know.
Yeah, cancer and stuff like that. They do shoot it with a light frequency, and then they change it. They lower it down.
Yeah.
But so there's multiple things that they got going on. It's been quiet. The only things really is Q's been QMF's after us, which I find laughable. What do you think of gematria?
Well, I mean, once you study it, I mean, every time you look at that Gematrinator page, Gematrinator 64, he's got another encoding. Like they must have 50 different ones now. So I mean, it's a little hard to keep up with all these new coding that they have. But I mean, simple numerology I guess it has its place.
Yeah, I find it's got some validity too, but it's
what to punch in a name and then look down a list of 40 different encodings and say, oh, there it is, there's the number. I was like, I didn't,
yeah.
It's getting it, it's stretching at this point, I think.
But it just seems like magic or like a card trick, because sometimes they times the numbers, sometimes they add them together, sometimes they use English, sometimes they use Pythagorean, sometimes they use Jewish, sometimes they're simplified, revised. It's like they got like all these hundreds of different ways that they can all equal 66 or 33. And what's up, part-time vegan? How you doing? Almost atheist?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're louder.
Okay. So first and foremost, I just want to get to a quick question pertaining to the map. So the Pac-Man Sun has a negative connotation to it, but do you know, like, say you're playing Pac-Man, right? And you know that little portal where, like, if you go to one side, you can basically go to the other side? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So let's say that you can go halfway in the portal. So there's like basically part of Pac-Man's body showing on one side and part of Pac-Man's body showing on the other side. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to go with that model, that means, or if we're going with this model, that means if you were to get high enough and if you were at the right location, you theoretically could see two suns for the same reason why you could see two Pac-Mans. That makes sense?
Oh.
Well, to me, that would be the ultimate proof we are in a realm. But I don't, and maybe NASA has went that high, and they saw the two suns on the left and the right side. But at the end of the day, I feel that, we can't get that high enough because you would have to get probably, depending on how how long the Earth is, the diameter, I would say you have to get super high. But I don't know. I don't even know if it's possible to get that high. But theoretically speaking, if you were to get that high at the right time, you would see two suns, which would be the ultimate proof that we live in a realm.
Where would you think you would observe the two suns? Only in one spot?
So do you see? Okay, you see where Australia is?
Mm-hmm.
So like, if the sun was going over Australia and it kept going to the right, it would eventually appear back towards South America, right?
Yeah, it goes the other way, but
yeah. Well, so let's just say that the sun was like, so like how Pac-Man, like if you go halfway in a portal, you can see Pac-Man on both sides.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. This how the sun would act.
So
you would have to get to a point. So basically, you have to be like probably like in Egypt, and you'd have to go so high that your field of vision can cover basically the whole entire Earth, and you would see two suns, or at least a sun on this side and a sun on the other side.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because would it only happen here? And that the answer is no. This is just a spot on the map where the 24-hour cutoff is. So as the sun traverses through the day, every 3 miles, everywhere there's somebody to observe the sun, it rises for them as it's setting for the person, on the other side of the bubble, 3 miles. So the portal happens locally. It's not up in the sky, thousands of miles. We've been recording the sun with all types of clouds coming through it, behind it, 3 miles away from us. So
okay, so you're saying that the sun happens. Okay, even if the sun was local, I still think you would have that same effect, because if you're saying that the sun's going to end up on the other side, then it would have to.
Other side? What do you mean though? That's again. There's no.
So let's say the sun is going towards towards Australia, and it just keeps going and going and going. Eventually, it's going to end back up in South America, right?
Yeah.
So that means that at one point, like if the sun is halfway towards the, for lack of a better term, the portal, then you would see two suns, or you would see at least a half sun on both sides.
It doesn't. No, that's not how it works. So how it works is the fact that if someone's in Ontario here, where I'm from, where the dot is,
right,
when the time of the day happens for the sunrise, the sun comes up in the sky, rises up, but where somebody's observing that same sun from England is going to see the sun setting. It's going to be a red sky. It's going to be a totally different picture, right? So that is a different sun, because the one that I see, okay, not when it's setting. So when it's setting for them and the sun is above me, for someone in Spain, when the sun is above me in Toronto, the sky is blue and the sun is yellow, but the sun is always like a white color, right? But so someone in Spain, they're going to see the beautiful, marvelous sunset colors, but I don't see those in my local 3 mile sky. So there's a portal everywhere. There's a person. Everyone has a 3 mile circle of sight. And the sun rises and sets within that same circle. So as it rises for me, it's setting for somebody behind me, and this goes on for.
Right. Well, I agree with that standpoint, because like our horizon is limited to, I believe, around 3 miles. That's just due to our vision. So theoretically speaking, we don't have a vantage point to see two suns. But I'm saying, if you were to get high enough and your field of vision was had the whole Earth in your field of vision, then basically,
we can't.
So, yeah, I don't even know if it's possible to get that high.
we can only see so far. Like our eyes aren't superhero. We can't see like trillions of miles. We really just have that 3 mile circle of sight. I think you can see like up to 10 miles, maybe. It's a hard one to really to nail down.
Okay, here's an example. So like, say you're on the ground, but like you're inside of a plane. If you look down, you only see a small portion of the area. But the higher you get, the more area that's in your view.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is, if you got to a point where the whole Earth, high enough to a point where the whole Earth is in your view, and you're looking down, you would eventually see the sun on both sides. Because if the sun is transferring from right to left, I mean, I don't know of a better term, and I'm not attacking the model, because to me it makes sense. Like, I would think that this would be the ultimate proof that, yeah, look, we this observation is possible, therefore this proves we're in the realm. But all I'm saying is, if you were to get to a high enough vantage point where you see the whole entire Earth, eventually at the right time, there'd be a time where you could see two suns. For the same reason you can see two Pac-Mans if the Pac-Man goes halfway through the portal.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't work like that. The way that we envision things is that there's one sun for every person. So along the day, the 24-hour path from the right side to the left side, wherever you are on this map, when the sun gets to your local area, it will rise and set where it's supposed to, the way we can measure and observe it. So it's like a rainbow. Everyone can see a rainbow, but when they try to get to the beginning or the end of it, it continues to move away from you to the same distance. So the same thing works for the moon and the sun. So no matter how high you were, the sun would continue to be away from you 3 miles plus whatever it is along this path. So we would never virtually see two suns. There is no such thing as Pac-Man. All it is the rendering of the sun's path individually. We all are the center.
Wait, you said the sun is like the rainbow?
Yes, the sun and the moon.
That actually sounds interesting. Hold on.
Yeah, well, because when we send up balloon launches, the sun continues to move. Like
right.
They would get closer, but it doesn't. The sun continues to stay. It's like the horizon's fixed distance away from us is fixed as well. No matter how close or high you go, it always is a flat plane. The sun is always that many miles away from you. And that's how people can observe clouds behind the sun in Ontario, and people in Spain can have a blue sky and see a sun, right? Is that two different suns? Yes, it must be, right?
It's interesting. So how would you explain that? So would you say are you saying the sun renders differently for everybody? Or are you saying that the sun is relative, like the rainbow is relative?
It's relative in a way that you can't get to it because it continues to move away from you at the same distance that it's set to inside the rendering of reality.
That's interesting.
That's what we can observe. That's what we promote. That's why we try not to talk about. So there's like just the very fact alone that you can film clouds and the sun you're in the shade of the sun, but somebody in Spain can have the sun high in the sky, or I mean, from Ontario, it would be, lower in the sky to setting, but it's totally different sky and a different color than what I'm seeing. So, and same with the moon rises and sets. It rises red a lot, and then it gets halfway up. It goes to its yellow to a whitish color. I don't know if you've ever observed that, but when the moon is rising for you red, it's high in the sky for people behind you, and it's completely white. So does that prove there are two moons? It has to prove that it's happening locally. Each person has a set amount of distance, and if the moon's going to rise a harvest moon, it's going to be red. No matter where you are on Earth, when the moon has its passing by you, it'll do what it does. But for me, the proof is the fact that other people around the Earth don't see it. Shouldn't it be red all the time if it was one real physical object? I think how can the sun rise? Okay, well, the moon's a better example because it rises red and changes. It should be like that everywhere, right? Especially if it was 230,000 miles away. How could it be changing red to white to yellow?
Okay, so So to that rainbow analogy, so doesn't the rainbow render according to like the characteristics of its surroundings? So basically, I think they said the explanation for a rainbow is it takes two polarizers and essentially light is shining through a prism, which creates the rainbow. So basically, how to explain this? Oh gosh, it's hard to explain. So let's say this. So the rainbow moves, right? But it doesn't really move. It moves relative to the observer, right?
Yes.
That like so basically we can't ever go under the rainbow, right? And find the pot of gold. We can't do that.
No, you can't, because it continues to move away from you at its set, whatever it's programmed to.
Right. So basically we can agree that the rainbow moves relative to the observer. But would you agree that the sun moves independent of the observer? So basically, if I stand still, the sun is moving.
Yeah. Okay. So it's both relative and independent of. So that's what the macro to the micro is. We teach that these tropics and these lines aren't real, right? Because the sun is virtually over my head and it never crosses this yellow line. And I was to say living up where my dot is here, right? So it's these lines aren't real. They're just the macro of what the sun's path is at any given point or time. We can measure with this scale, where it should be, but there isn't an actual physical sun riding down this red line, right? It's happening in this bubble, 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 in this. It's happening everywhere. So it's like a virtual reality that's interactive, yet it still has a set of boundaries. Like in a video game, how the new games, I don't know if there's gamers here or gamers in the past, it'll have like a set amount of time where you like have to sleep and then it gets dark. Have you ever played games like that?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So it's relative and it's independent. That's interesting. Okay.
And so another interesting point about rainbows, ROT reminded me, I was thinking about it, ROTR, because I had a cloudy day. There was a bunch of different days where I was able to make a rainbow outside. I totally don't believe that you need a dome to make a rainbow.
Right.
I was making them in my backyard. And, the other interesting thing about that is it seems more of a holographic type of an issue. Have you ever seen a hologram or a holographic type image?
Yeah.
It's relative again, too, as you turn the image around. What do you think, Blue Blood? Do you want to add in?
Yeah, I can make rainbows in my front yard in the summertime, just by spraying water up in the air. As far as the 3 mile perspective, being on the ground, only seeing the sun 3 miles away. When you're out in the open fields here, the sun's further away than 3 miles because I know where I'm seeing it and I've driven the roads. But there's a hill beside my house here. To the highest point of that hill, I'm guessing, because I can see over the city skyline from that hill. So I'm guessing that hill's probably 200 or 300 feet in elevation. So if I'm sitting in my house, I'm watching the sunset behind the trees in the neighborhood here. I walk up that hill, I can watch the sun set over the mountains 60 miles away.
That's interesting.
Anybody in Calgary will tell you, you can see the mountains anywhere from Calgary. And if you're up on any of the hills around here, you can really see the mountains perfectly. So the 3 mile of sight thing, that's on level ground looking straight out. But you go up on a hill.
Yeah, but the reason why you can see those mountains is because they're so tall. Those are some of
they're about 3,000 feet, I guess.
They're some of the largest mountains in the world there. And I know exactly what you're saying. I can verify it. I lived in Calgary. And you can see the foothills. They're over 30 miles away. I'd say 60 to 100 miles, but it's just a faint pixely. So I would have to film. You got to film the sunset sometime, brother. I'd like to see, because that is one of my I believe the Earth is flat because of those prairies, right? So I'm not going to disprove that that's real.
Yeah, this summer I'm going to go up on that hill. It's got a great. There's been lots of pictures on the internet taken from that hill. That you see the city, which is about 2 miles away, and you see the mountains right behind. Like, you don't even need to zoom in on them. You can pretty much see the base of them from that hill. It's not a very big hill.
So, okay, I think a simple explanation for the sun would be that it's fourth dimensional. And I say this because it basically says everything you just said, but it's just compacting it to four dimensional. So let's say I'm making a simulation of a video game, right? If I'm making a simulation of a video game, every component of that video game I have access to. So that means I could make the sun look like it's close, even when theoretically speaking, when it defies our logic that it should be close. And I could also make it seem like it's far away, just depending on how I program it. So if you're programming something, you theoretically have access to the whole program, which means that you become the fourth dimensional programmer. It's kind of hard to articulate what I'm saying, but how do I say this simpler? So do you like understand like the difference between 3 dimensions and 4 dimensions?
Well, we've never really observed the fourth dimension. If you have proof of that,
I guess
the fourth dimension, the thought.
Yeah, you could say that thought's the fourth dimension. So like when we use logic, like we imagine different scenarios, different ways things can play out. But we experience a 3 dimension, like we experience time to go straight forward. But when we use logic, when we think about other possible scenarios, that's fourth dimensions. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when we are making a simulation, we are theoretically, we're theoretically,
the thought is coming from outside of that dimension.
Right, yeah. Right. So we're the fourth dimensional being we're the fourth dimensional being relative to the video game we're making. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's why it actually makes sense. Like everything you said made sense, and it can be simpler explained if you just said that it's just fourth dimensional. But if you want to say what do you call it, a simulation, that works too. That works too.
Yeah. Well, we believe it's the creator of the Bible.
Right.
He laid down, and not just the Bible. There's so many other books. Just the Holy Spirit, the energy that flows through humans, the good ones, I guess. I'm not the judge, but that is where the information came from that we believe is the truth.
I wouldn't. Okay, but when you're saying like how far away is the sun? I wouldn't necessarily say it's 3 miles. I would say it's 3 miles relative to us being on the ground, because I feel like that's a more accurate statement. Because like you said, if you fly an air balloon, the sun keeps rising because it's a simulation. And when I say simulation, I'm interchangeably saying simulation with fourth dimensional, because I actually studied four dimensions, and everything you said literally correlates with the fourth dimensional objects. So it's really interesting you saying all that.
Well, I find it more interesting that we can actually come up with physical observations.
Right.
That to me just like was crazy. Like, whoa.
Dave had a Mavic Pro shot there where he showed the sunset from the ground. You could see the sun was gone, and then he took the Mavic Pro up in the air, and there it was again. So
what about so is the moon considered a physical object, or would you also say that's okay? Is the moon an independent? I'm gonna say IR, independent relative, or is it physical?
That's a hard question. Maybe if you could rephrase it.
Okay, so when I say independent relative, I mean that it has the same properties as the sun, as in it's independent, as in basically it moves on its own, and it's relative, as in like if you go higher, the moon will also go higher, and it's different for each observer.
Yes.
So, okay, so the moon has the same properties of the sun, basically, right?
Well, yeah, because they're both made of light. Well, everything actually in this reality is made of light and resonating. So there's like, I believe there's the frequency and then there's the light, and the light kind of hones the resonance in. So if you have like a deeper resonance, maybe you get like more of a solid type structure in the simulation.
Right.
And the moon and the sun and rainbows are all just lights. They're like projections, right? That's I have to believe that.
Okay, so I just don't want to make a mistake in saying that everything in the sky is IR. And when I say IR, like I said, I mean independent in terms of it moves on its own, and relative in terms of like it's different for each observer. But that being said, if you in the balloon footage, I'm not sure if the moon actually rises with the observer. I mean, I know the sun does. I'm not sure if the moon does, because to me, it seemed like the moon is kind of, I don't know what the moon is, honestly. I don't know.
I think it's a light. It's light. There's no doubt in my mind that it's like the sun, but it's like 7 times dimmer.
Is it like independent light, or is it
It's not reflected light, no. I think it's reflected energy into light. It like absorbs the sun's energy like a glow, like a glow bug. You know those little things where you could squeeze it hard in one area and it would glow. So the energy like heats up the sun or the moon or whatever, and I believe that's how it works. But again, I wish we had the creator right here, right now, so we could ask him these questions, because
we can answer these questions, yeah.
It's me and you, we could theorize, but he's the one who programmed it.
Okay, that actually, man, that's actually interesting. That answered a lot of questions right there.
Especially the 3 mile thing. Well, how everybody sees it rise and set, because it says in the book of Enoch, the sun rises and so it sets and continues on for continually running its course. And it says that in the Bible a bunch of times too. So it's like wherever you are, and everything was created for us, in my opinion, in the simulation. So it's just everybody, they try to tell us we live on a spinning ball, infinite in space, but really we live in this simulation that's geared, specifically pointed straight at our, what would you call it? Third eye, our brain, our heart, our spirit. It's like, wow, man, how can we see these stars? You know, how, like when everything seems so beautiful around us, you know, nature.
Right. Am I wrong in thinking the Bible says that the sun, the moon, and the stars were created for signs and seasons, right?
That's right.
But it does not say that the sun and moon cause the seasons either, does it?
Yeah, I think it's what brings the signs and seasons, yeah. But there's also, it states there's the 4 angels at the corners that control the winds. So it also states in the book of Ezra, 2nd Ezra, it states that there's angels over top of all the heavenly luminaries. So that's why if anything goes out of place, it literally says that they get harmonized back into accordance to the path that they've been prescribed. That's why we've never seen a comet crash into Earth. We've never seen one hit the moon. We've never seen anything ever out of place. We live in, sure, there's some sort of debris that comes down, but there's absolutely been no evidence of any meteorites ever recorded.
Well, I do think the sun has, whether through its energy, has something to do with the mixing of nitrogen in the atmosphere, because they say the atmosphere is made up of 80% nitrogen, right? And
nitrogen's cold, right?
Cold. Yeah.
The higher the balloon launches go, you notice the temperature.
So if the sun is, like, in my perspective, you know, I look out my front window, it looks like about a 3 mile perspective right now. The sun is on the southwest track. Summer would be on its northwest track in my perspective, right?
So it's hooking away from you south. It's not going up and around.
No, it's just going straight past to the northwest of my house in the summer and straight past to the southwest of my house in the winter.
Yeah, you can totally see that.
And so I think just maybe that short distance that it's on its other path, I think that nitrogen really comes through more. So you know what I mean?
Colder.
Yeah, because
There's that slight factor. Yeah, that's a good point.
When the sun's out and you're standing in it, it's not warming everything else up so much, right? If it's still there, it should still be heating you up, right? It's still right there.
Yeah, it does still observe to be right there.
Below.
Yeah.
It's got more to do with its mixture with the air, its photons or whatever.
I want to study that too, man. I find all that stuff. I've been contemplating some of that fascinating questions, right? How just the small little thing, like I think the winds have an electrical property to them, and that's what controls the temperatures, because you can check and see like within the tropics, and there's like the luscious greenest, nicest places to live. Like we got deserts that are way outside of the sun's path, right? How is that even possible? We had a question from Dave in Slave by Media. He asked what your elevation is when you're looking towards the mountains, and that's the other key thing. So you can only see as far as your elevation and the geographical land that you're in.
Right.
The prairies are known to be, well, all of North America is a big plain, right? Except for the mountains in the West Coast. But those prairies are the flattest place on Earth, in my opinion. Maybe not. Yeah, they seem to be.
Yeah, from the edge of Ontario to the edge of BC, it's pretty much flat. The only
down to Mexico.
Wait, where are the salt?
The only hills are river valleys, right?
The salt flats are here.
Down into a river valley.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the largest. This is called the Great American Plain, right? This area here. That whole area is like the elevation is less than, I believe, 1,000 feet above sea level. It's not much, but the Himalayan salt flats are the what are they? The Solar de la Sols, tongue tied.
10,000 square kilometers.
10,000 square kilometers, but they're also elevated. That's what the crazy thing about that is.
Yeah, they're up on the mountain range.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. That's like super flat, but I believe that where blue is over here in this, you see this brown shaded area. There's even a desert in BC, eh?
No, it's in Alberta.
Alberta, yeah. Northern Canada, right?
BC has a few drier zones, but yeah, there's a whole section here just about an hour and a half from here that's like a desert wasteland that supposedly has dinosaurs.
Yeah. We got a dinosaur park down the road.
Funny how the only place in Alberta has dinosaurs is completely dry and flat and dry as a popcorn. But yet you go up into the oil sands and you never found any dinosaurs up there.
So, another question, kind of a deviation, but what is y'all's take on gravity? Because I saw the Globebusters, they posted a video about gravity, and they explained it as an electrostatic force. I don't know if y'all saw the video or if you know what I'm talking about, but the logic behind it theoretically makes sense to me. So I want to know y'all's take on gravity. You know what I mean?
I'm just finishing lunch here, so.
Okay.
I don't see any need for gravity, but.
You don't see any need for gravity?
Yeah.
My thing is just the fact that
if we need gravity, then I guess the sun and the moon should be hitting the ground, right?
Well, they have different properties than physical objects, but, well, at least from my perspective, I think they do. I don't know if I'm right or not, but for me, like the thing, like why don't things fall upwards instead of downwards? Because how they described it is basically there's a gradient, an electric gradient, and basically the electric gradient points downward, which is why things fall downward. That's the short explanation of it, and it made sense because we can actually measure the voltage of each atmospheric layer, and the gradient actually does point downwards. So I don't know.
Hey, this is Joey Gardnalnino. I'm looking for some glow busting proofs here.
Some glow busting proofs.
Do I got the right show? Is this Glow Busters?
No, this isn't Glow Busters, but
No, it's me event. But I called in Glow Busters once, and I had a call in, and I said I was Joey Gardnalnino, and I was looking for some glow busting proof. I just wanted to take the second out to tell everybody, like, I like having these kind of conversations because we all get our chance to just speak our mind, and we're not, field core engineers or anything. We're just like regular people trying to figure out reality.
Right.
And there's so much hatred and division and teams and this guy and that guy, and the truth absolutely does not care one bit about any of that, right?
Right.
I've been getting besmirched lately, man. It's like crazy. People calling me liar and saying I'm not telling the truth, and I'm like, yo, if I ever say anything that's wrong, please correct me. I don't even if there's food on my face, I want to know right away. It will not offend me.
Right. I mean, I feel like a lot of times people attach their beliefs to their ego. So that's why when somebody does correct them or when somebody does attack them, they get really defensive, and then they start like, whoa, hold on. And then they get negative and start just.
Yeah. Your ego doesn't allow you to accept new information that
right.
your own.
Because I remember I was having a conversation about this guy in the comment section, and then we were talking about why we didn't go to the moon and stuff, and he fervently believes that we went to the moon, and I said, well, can you handle the truth? Because we're having a civil discussion, but then when you start showing them evidence that goes against the world, their worldview, they start getting mad and then saying, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're stupid or something like I'm like, dude, I thought we're having a civil conversation. Why are you getting so defensive all of a sudden? But
yeah, they've got the hive mind mentality.
Right.
That's the indoctrination, right? And the years of programming that we've all been under.
Right.
So how do we go about attacking that? Could it have been your approach with, can you handle the truth? Because I agree with that tactic. Once somebody learns something, they can't unlearn it. They're just going to fight against it, right?
Right. I feel that, there's so much stuff. To me, like I said earlier, when we first talked, flat Earth is it's a journey. You don't just wake up and become a flat earther. You start questioning 9/11, you start questioning other conspiracies, and then you find out that a lot of things you learn have just been just an utter lie. And then, you're more willing to accept it. But if you hit somebody with flat earth, flat earth is a foundation breaker. Some people literally, I don't think everybody has the cognitive ability to, process flat earth. And so that's why, it might just be pointless to even bring it up sometimes. Sometimes maybe you should just start off slow and tell them, well, hey, do you think 9/11 really happened? Or do you think 9/11 was an inside job? Just asking their opinion on that before you start, just dropping bombs and, breaking things down.
Yeah, that's great advice. And, the last person that I ended up speaking to about conspiracy theories, got into it, and it turned out, within 25 minutes, they were suggesting with our map and model that the Earth was flat and someone was doing some sort of a Pac-Man thing.
Right.
All on its own.
Right. I mean, I don't know, this model right here, it's so crazy, how accurate it is and how suppressed it is. But to be fair, the main objection is when people hear Pac-Man's son, and honestly, I'm probably going to make a video just to explain the sun just so people could stop using that terminology. Because right when people hear Pac-Man sun, they don't even try to process or reason like how the sun, you know, can be relative and independent for all of us. So, but other than that, like,
great.
Yeah, the thing is,
we,
like,
we want that, brother. We're not the only people that own this. This is the map for the elect of all people.
Right. That's what it's called, the map of the elect.
Did you ever notice in the Vatican on that one wall there, it's a flat map of Earth? That Vesica Pisces map?
Well, see, my thing is, like, if people like are just so ardently supporting the globe, they should have no issue with this map because it's literally a stereo, what do you call it? A stereographic projection of the map, or did I say that right?
It's a stereographic map that can be projected to build a globe.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, so anything that you believe on the globe is similar to what we believe on this. It's just we actually have the observations in our favor because when we look at the world, we don't see the curvature, we see flatness. So
that's right. It's the same map for both. The first man who drew this style not projection. He drew the map was C.S. Pierce in 1894. You can look up the oblique Mercator, and you'll get this map, but in hand drawn and not nearly as accurate. This one here is supposedly made by the satellites taking swipes.
Right.
This is the map that satellite swiping system created. So it's also now in the new 20th century. What are we? The 21st century. It's now called the Hotine oblique Mercator, and it's called the World Satellite Map. So you can research it. And people try to think that we invented it. They keep calling it this Winkle, Humperdinkle, all these other 4D and this and that. No, it's called the Hotine C.S. Pierce oblique Mercator projection map, not projection. It's a map.
Right. And it's been the most accurate thing I've seen so far. So definitely.
And so we just added map of the elect because we put the tropics on it, the prime meridian, and we're trying. And this one we've created by using, because they only give you certain maps. They won't give you the proper orientation like this. We had to actually, Jason's got over hours and hours of videos published of him actually moving the maps around to get the most map that we could.
Right.
But yeah, they don't talk about it anywhere. No one will even say our names, except to, call us like names and stuff because we're Christian or whatever. But you're a vegan, so you probably deal with the same type of thing, right?
Right. Actually, like I brought this map up because like I normally go on this show called Red's Rhetoric, and basically like it's about like 8 guys who are ardent globe believers, and they all just try to just completely like debunk the oblique, basically any flat Earth model. They try to just completely debunk it, and obviously 8 against 1. The odds are against me because I got people getting emotional, trying to just be parrots and regurgitate as fast as possible. But the only
you went on there with this map.
Say what?
You went on Red's Rhetorics with, I know who he is very well, and Sean Hunkard. I know the whole team, but you went on there with this map?
Yeah, and I defended the map. I said I believe in the oblique Mercator. And the only objection they had, literally, they said nothing else about it. And I found it just hilarious because normally, like, if you bring up a map, they say, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Only objection they had was the Pac-Man sun. And that's not even the case. It's around that, and now I was like, wow. So basically, this map really is the map, because they just don't understand how the sun works. So
that's right. And you know what? We noted that because Sean Hufford or one of the other guys did an extensive video where he showed a version of this map, but not this map. He went to a site that like had a bunch of weird looking maps.
Right.
And he said flat earthers. He said that they couldn't debunk this style map, and that was about 6 months ago. So, but. Wow, man! Congratulations! I didn't know you did that, Red.
Yeah,
he's real rude. He's real. I can't really deal with him.
It's hard to.
He's an intelligent kid, right?
Right.
I don't think he's that old. But hey, kudos to you, bro. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, definitely. I do plan on and this is it, man. We need to get it out there, because like we're basically the pioneers trying to promote like, what's going on in reality. So this would help a lot of flat earthers when they're trying to make arguments, because like it's hard trying to convince somebody of flat earth if you don't have a model. Like if the best thing you can do is provide the AE projection, which has been debunked even by flat earthers themselves, then like you don't really stand much of a chance. So
yeah,
I don't know. And that's why I'm starting to think that this whole flat earth movement might be a controlled movement, because they're trying to make it seem that, well, the flat earth, there's a model for flat earth, so why would you even believe it? So I don't know. Let me open up the tab.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done lunch now.
Let me see. I'm just reading the chat right now. It to me that we are in the end days. It's like conventional mainstream knowledge fell away. But I'm almost torn between just trying to advocate the idea of God as opposed to advocating a flat earth, because I feel like there's some people, I've literally spent like hours with some people and they would just not buy into the idea of a flat earth, because some people just prefer a detailed lie rather than bits and pieces of truth. So they're not willing to like even consider flat earth. So I'm almost debating like, well, maybe I should just try to spread God, because
that's a great conundrum to be in. I believe that both of them can work together.
Right.
But it's so hard because people sometimes they want the scriptures, and then other times they're like, all you do is preach, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I think you should just let the Spirit lead you, ask for the Spirit of the Creator. That's the most powerful thing that he has.
Right.
I believe it's like the different incantations. So Yahushai, which is Jesus, his real name in Paleo Hebrew is Yahushai. He was the human version of the Creator. And then when he left, when he was resurrected and he went back to heaven, his experience on earth mixed with him as the Father, the two created this, the Spirit knows all. So it's like the most powerful part of the three. And that's what
here's my take. Well, okay. So you think that Jesus died and rose again, right?
Yeah.
So here's my take on that, because, the way I see it, like if the elite can literally, basically shape our world around us, then pun intended, how do we know that they're not shaping religion? Because I feel that, okay, remember when like back in the day there was a separation between state and science, because originally theology and science were basically the same thing. Like people just tried to explain how God works, but now they are basically separating science and religion, basically. So I feel that science, they try to, the philosophy of science is to explain things in a natural way. Explain things so you don't need a magical God. Religion basically explains things in a magical way where, God fed 5,000 men with a few fish and whatever. And I believe that that's the issue with religion, because to me, from my point of view, I think God is natural. So I don't even I believe that Jesus died for our sins, but I mean, do I think he came back to life? I don't think he has to, because I just think that there needs to be an atonement. There doesn't necessarily need to be a resurrection, because the moment that you start believing in magic, then basically anything becomes possible. Like, how can we dismiss,
there's a clear differentiation between magic and between things that were manifest by the Spirit. So the resurrection didn't just happen with Yahushai. There was the woman of Syene. There was Peter actually resurrected a woman after Yahushua ascended. There was what's his name? Before he resurrected him, his friend, how am I drawing a blank? Lazarus was also resurrected. There was a child in the Old Testament that was resurrected. So this was a show of power, like the Almighty. So you like wizard.
Okay, I agree with you on that, but let me ask you this. Does there need to be a resurrection for atonement of sins? For example, here's a good example. You probably
No, but it was prophesied though.
Do you agree though that okay, I agree with you on that point. But do you agree that some people used to sacrifice animals for their sins?
Yeah, I think that they were told to, but again,
but did the animals come back to life? I mean, they didn't need to. But my thing is, in order for because the whole point, the whole philosophy of Jesus dying was to basically atone for our sins, correct?
Yes.
So why does there need to? Okay.
Well, that wasn't the only reason. But remember, I believe that we're in a simulation, and the animals, the sacrificed animals, and thus, if you were creating that video game, you're not going to create them with the super high consciousness where it can understand pain and reality. Like you just create it to eat, to become whatever the people of the simulation need to eat. So you have to separate the reason for the sacrifice and what it's actually meant for. The sacrifices were just leading up to the prophecy of Yahushua, the creator himself, being sacrificed. They were like microcosms. You know, it was a story being told. And that's the reason why I differ with you when you state that the Bible is created by something of this place, because it's the Holy Spirit that overtakes man to prophesy. So it does that so that we can know and verify that this is the true creator of this place. It glorifies the creator because he can't just jump in the game all the time like he did. He had to do it exactly the way that we have to do it. Like he walked as the man, he was sinless, and he became the atonement for the sins. Yes, he was able to do it as a man. He there's so many things we could speculate. I don't believe he had all the power all the time. I think he had to, it was constantly a works that he was doing. Works. And I don't believe being saved by grace alone. I think that's absolute false doctrine. I believe that we are here, we are being tested, and your works are what matter. So how you treat other people. That's why if you're a vegan, and people that are vegans, I'm not a vegan because, like I said to you before, I believe we live in a simulation, and the creator told me everything that I create is good for you. You can eat it. But I do believe there isn't meat in heaven. In the next world, there won't be any slaughtering of any animals or any humans. That'll be gone. But we need to understand that the truth of this reality is so much more important about how we are, how we treat others. What are we doing with our time? Are we slaves to make money to buy cars, or are we here to figure out why we're here? What are your answers to those questions?
So my thing is, like, a lot of things you said makes sense, and a lot of things that you said I agree with. See, but the thing is, so if we're just going to look at a tree has a root from which the branches are grown from, okay? So a lot of things that you were referring to are branches, so, but if we look at the root of your belief, the root at which, these things prosper from, there are a lot of logical inconsistencies with believing that Jesus fed 5,000 men with a few fish. Like, do you think that that's magic, or how do?
No, he did that. Yes.
Can you explain that? Because you can explain. You explain this map to me. You explained the sun to me, and it all makes sense. But can you explain to me how he fed 5,000 men with a few fish?
Well, because again, the spirit, the person, the entity that created everything, took what he had, because he was born a peasant, right? Yahushua, Jesus, he was born a peasant, poor.
Right.
He took the will and the desire of that man wanted to feed those many people. He just divided and multiplied the fish. So, but my question to you is, it's a simulation. I'm going to tell you that right now. We're in a type of a dream world or a holographic avatar where
our actual spirit is not in this place. It comes through when we have the moment of conception. We've gone over that, me and you.
Right.
And your spirit is here inside your body and outside your body. And so basically the fact that I can tell you that that's how you incarnate into this world. So it's the same process that divides and multiplies the fish that he had. But the better question is, the mother that made the lunch that the boy brought, that Yahushua took and divided amongst 5,000 people, is just as important. And that is what gets missed in the scriptures, right? What happens if that person didn't care enough for her son to do the works, to make the lunch, to send him to because he was going to see Yahushua. There was one boy that fed them all, and it's not even talked about from a woman. And that's the other thing too. The Bible constantly, it can't be true because it suppresses women. But if you look carefully, the women of the Bible that were true and honest are some of the most powerful parts of the Bible. Like Mary was the purest woman until, I don't know how you want to decipher what happened at the end, but she wasn't quite with them as much, but she was in the end. But she was pure. Her parents were well aged before they had her. They had to suffer, and everything in the Bible has been prophesied has come true. So, and not only that, but we can actually go and find Sodom and Gomorrah, where all that nasty hatred was going on. They were like, people would come into the city and they would starve them to death and rape them. And there was they wanted to rape angels sent by God. They wanted to rape them in that city. You can find where it is in the Bible, where it tells you to go. You can go there and you can actually find brimstone and ash.
Okay, let me just say this. A lot of things you said make sense, but let me ask you this. Let's say the miracles, like walking on the water, feeding 5,000 men, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that never happened. Let's say the only thing that happened was a resurrection. Would we still have atonement for our sins?
Yes.
Right. So,
we have atonement for our sins, but that doesn't take you away from the fact that you will be judged by your works.
And I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
So the death resurrection was a prophetic fulfilling of the Creator's glory. It wasn't just to simply atone for our deaths. The sacrificing should have never been going on, in my opinion, but there was no other way to foreshadow. Like Abraham, he was sent to kill his son that he waited 99 years to have, or 90 years, right?
Right.
They turned that into this big, how could he do that? But it was a show of trust from the Creator, right? He wasn't, as soon as Abraham had tied the boy up and was going to offer him up because he was told to, he let him go. But look, the Creator actually came in here and had to die. So it was the son of the Father, which was Yahushua. He didn't get to take him down. He actually sacrificed him. And that was the ultimate sacrifice of all sacrifices, because people think, why would anyone want to kill an innocent animal, right? Well, imagine the most innocent human. They had to kill him. And the walking on water is an amazing example of simulation. I've used it before, as well as dividing the food and mountains being moved. The Creator told us we will do greater things than him, because he's going to go and he's going to send the Spirit to us. And the Spirit, in my opinion, must be more powerful. It's like the most powerful part. God himself is a spirit, right?
Okay, so let's just say this. You have awareness of a simulation, right? You have come to that conclusion. You have that awareness. But the average Joe doesn't have that awareness of a simulation. So how do they explain it?
Well, the only way you can do it,
magic, or do they just say like?
Yeah, they say magic, or they say what you just said. And
this is why. So let me explain my philosophy. My philosophy is believe what is necessary to believe, because philosophically speaking, even as a child, we always have some type of mental idea of what's wrong and what's right. So we always believe that there needs to be some justification of our sins. So basically, if somebody cuts in front of you in line and you're a little kid, you say, hey, that kid deserves to go to the back. So when we commit sins, even as adults, there needs to be some type of atonement for our sins. So philosophically speaking, what could we do to atone for our sins. So if I said, God, I just sinned, but here I have a biscuit I'm going to give you to atone for my sins, does that suffice as an atonement?
No,
the only way we could exactly the only
that's not it.
Right.
It's your heart that you have to offer. The only thing you can feel in is spirit.
Okay, let's say I said, hey God, I just sinned. So here, I'm gonna cut out my heart and I'm gonna give it to you. Does that even atone for your sin? The only way.
No, that's going against his commandments.
Hear me out though. Hear me out. The only way we could atone for our sins is if God gave us an atonement, because only God knows what could atone for such a sin. So the idea of Jesus dying for our sins as that atonement, that makes perfect sense. I agree with that. But when you start mixing in all these magical events, it makes it hard to believe, and it steers people away, because I came from a skeptical point of view where at a point in time I was like, well, is any of the Bible true? Because when you start mixing truth with lies, then things
there is no lies in the Bible, not one. Not ever has there been a lie found in the Bible, ever, in any of the Holy Scriptures. And see, that's where you're in the opposite side of the truth. You could try to disprove it. I strongly suggest that everyone goes down that path, but you're going to find a redundantly expressed truth that continues to snowball against any evidence. And the fact that those miracles took place had to take place for the skeptics to believe, right? But greater are those that can see that did not live in that day. So,
well, but the people that wrote the Bible weren't skeptics.
Like, you could see how amazing the lightning is, and Paul, Saul from Tartarus was a skeptic of the apostles. He actually hunted them down and.
Well, yeah, he was a murderer, but I don't think he was skeptical of, because he was. I thought
he was skeptical that Jesus was Yahushua, that he was the son of God.
The reason that he wrote the Bible was because he became convicted that God was real. Like
he got blinded. God showed him. He blinded him for 3 days. And then he sent Ananias there to remove the scales from his eyes, and physical scales that are said to have fallen. So I believe that the miracles take place inside the reality, because, it's so weird that I have to say this, but they kind of coined it with The Matrix, right? And Neo. I hate how Hollywood does this to us. They take something that's true, and then they muck it up with a bunch of lies, just like you just said. But they actually do it and then brainwash the public, so that when I try to explain to someone how Yahushua, Jesus, indwelt so much of the Holy Spirit that he was able to change the code of reality, as long as within the Father's will, as long as he stayed within that parameter. They said he bled tears the night before he was crucified. And not only that, but if you search and truth seek the scriptures a little bit more, you'll find that not only was he under for 3 days, because he literally had to go into hell. Satan thought he had won. He thought he had crucified him and he was bringing him down to hell. And you can find in the apocryphal books that Yahushua went down there, boom, blew open the gates, because everyone was a sinner. Everyone that lived before Jesus was a sinner. We are all sinners still. They all went to hell, right? Okay. But because they didn't have the teachings and the understanding, they were that is called saved by grace. But now that he came, he rescued those people, and they've gone with him. But see, the most important thing for you to understand is, on a time scale, 1,000 years with God is 1 day. Or 1,000 years on earth is 1 day with God, okay? So everything is happening retrospectively, and it happens. So when it all goes down, that final moment where everyone is going to have that judgment, we're going to probably get sped up to God's speed, right? So if it's been 7 days in the Bible, it'll be 7,000 years. But this last 1,000 are supposedly with the Creator. So I believe there might be a job for us to do. If I believe if we had 144,000 people that truly harmonized with the vibration and the frequency of Yahushua, like the truth, with where we are, this reality, and we all wanted heaven on earth so bad, we were so tired of eating the cows, all of that, everything that people don't like about this world, if we actually wanted the Creator, I believe we're going to manifest it. It's going to in a flash of an eye, it'll be like all the badness will be gone. That's what my goal here is. And I know you're still a skeptic, but there are so many physical proofs that we live in a simulation and that we could actually.
I agree with you. If you're going to say live in a simulation, I mean, just the idea of the sun, like that's a good evidence for a simulation. But my thing is just like, I can tell the Bible is rooted within you. Like, I can tell that you have a deep connection, an emotional attachment to the Bible. And, is there something wrong with that? Not necessarily. But the thing is, there's other scriptures. So let's say like the Quran. Somebody has an emotional attachment to the Quran. And let's say I point out a logical inconsistency with the Quran. Well, they could just say, oh, we're in a simulation. That's why it happens. So my thing is like,
that's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just saying there are other ways.
Okay, when I asked you about the fish, right? You said, well, we're in a simulation, therefore it works.
Well, what if it's a dream though? Are the fish in your dream real?
Are the fish in my dream world?
If you were to dream about fish, they were jumping out of the water in your dream, are those real fish?
No, that's just a product of my mind.
But you cannot define which is different from reality.
Well, you can, because you wake up and you can.
Yeah.
So basically, we can define what is real and what is not real based on our senses. So we have a memory of our dreams, and we can basically distinguish. Okay.
So you're saying that having a belief is no good? There's no point in having a belief? You don't have any faith?
Okay, listen. Okay,
you're fighting faith.
Okay. As a human, we really don't know anything. If you study epistemology, we really don't know anything. But the best thing we can give something is either belief or we can give it doubt. Now, I try to believe things that I sense. So the reason I don't believe we're on a globe is because I never experienced a globe. I've never seen the curvature. So therefore, I want to believe what I sense. Now, if you're going to tell me that I have to believe that certain events happen that I can't necessarily explain in the Bible, then I'm like, well, that's kind of hard for me to believe. And if we're going to open that rabbit hole, then how come I can't dismiss like Egyptology and all these other, because they also make magical claims.
Yeah, but none of them come even remotely close to even a fraction with the prophetic events that have been fulfilled, with the lifestyle, with the orders, with the commandments, with the way back to the Creator. Nothing, not one religion, not anything is even close. Like Yahushua, Jesus Christ, there's more written about him, a poor man, a man who was born a pauper, a poor person. There's more written about him than every single other ruler, all combined. And not only that, but the very fact that you are here speaking, visualizing, conceptualizing the reality of this place, the fact that the sun and the moon and the stars rise and set inside your world is all controlled by something that you will never, or I will never fully understand until we are in a different position. Everything that we have comes from the spiritual. And what you're doing yourself a huge disservice by locking out all of that wonder and power, because the spirit is what creates the reality that we're in. And
I agree with you on a lot of what you're saying, but what I'm telling you is that when you allude to prophecy, talking about Jesus, I want to believe in what's necessary. I believe that it's necessary to believe in atonement, and I believe the only person that can give us atonement for our sins is God. So yes, the Jesus story makes sense, but is it necessary for me to believe that he rose again? Because I can't make sense of that. I wasn't.
If you don't believe, it doesn't matter what you believe. It matters what works you do. It says that redundantly in the scriptures as well.
This is what you're doing though. This is what you're doing. You're alluding to the Bible. Okay. How do we know that we can? How do we know that we can take the Bible word for word as truth?
Because of the Spirit convicts it. It proves it. It's
okay. So you're telling me the Spirit doesn't work in other religions?
The Spirit of truth has its own set of laws and scales, but what I can tell you from my experience is that the Bible and the extra canonical scriptures surrounding the life of Jesus and the line of Adam and Eve, all the peoples of the world, in my opinion, is verified, backed up. The whole creator story has been logged, and it wasn't done by man's thoughts. It was written through the Holy Spirit of the creator of the simulation, and it is
Did
real.
you come to that conclusion, or were you taught that?
I learned it. I experienced it through.
So you actually studied the lexicons. You studied.
Yeah. All of it.
Okay. Can you provide?
I keep using the ancient Paleo Hebrew name Yahushai and Yahweh.
Right.
I've looked into it all, but I ask for more discernment and more understanding every day. I don't know anything.
Well, let me ask you a historical question then. Can you provide me one source, or the earliest source you know, that mentioned the prophecy of a chosen one who would die and rise again?
The book of Adam and Eve is the first one ever written.
Okay, and what's the date on that?
Well, the Hindus,
I believe
think about Krishna, right?
It's totally different, you guys. There's no virgin birth. See, there's only one prophecy that actually lines up to all of the prophetic. There has been many copycats. That's where I could go on and on and on, but you guys that are skeptical of the scriptures have to go into your own search.
Right. And yes, but you said that you've done the research. You came to that conclusion, so you probably have a grounded belief. So I'm asking you, what is the earliest prophecy you know that mentions a chosen one that has to die and rise again?
Yeah, the Book of Enoch that was written between 4 to 4,600 years ago, and the Book of Adam and Eve that was written
dated to 46,000 years ago.
4,600, roughly. There's books even further. The stories have been told. So the question is, we have books, right? But when was the story actually happened? Who wrote it down? What is the right?
It says the Book of Enoch was written between the 1st century, 170 BCE.
Well,
okay. And here's the thing. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying if we're going to take, there's different interpretations of history. Okay. So what you might say, well, this is obviously 5,000 years. Somebody else might interpret it and say, well, I don't know, because
I'm using the biblical calendar. That's why I told you over 4,500 years ago, because after that, there was the flood of Noah. And then thousands of years after that, like 1,500 years, then you had Jesus. And then it's been 2,000 years.
You can't really use your story to prove your story, because in the Quran, use the Quran to prove the Quran.
Well, no, I use real observations, the way that people's lives have changed. I told you, you can go to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
You can
Mind you, let me say this. I'm not attacking you in any way. Like, I actually agree with a lot of things you say.
I don't feel attacked at all, bro.
Okay, good. But from my perspective of you, I think that, like I said, there's an emotional attachment to your belief that the Bible is true. But I believe that as long as there's just a small portion of God, like there's a small portion of God in a lot of religions. There's a small portion of God. You can find it in Hindu religions. You can find it in Muslim religions, whatever. And that conviction gives you the strength to defend your faith, to do the research, to believe in it wholeheartedly, and believe you have the truth, because you do have a portion of truth. I'm not going to lie. But to take that extra step and to say that everything that you're reading is 100% fact and true, to me, that seems like a leap of faith. And
it is.
And the thing is, if I take that leap of faith, if I say, okay, you know what, you're right, I'm gonna take that leap of faith, how on earth can I just say, well, these other religions are wrong? Because they too took a leap of faith. So how can we tell them that they're wrong if we're also taking a leap of faith?
That is going to be your spirit has to investigate that yourself, because there's nothing I can tell you, because I do operate as well on faith as I do on reason. But like I said,
so that's why I came to the conclusion of, well, let me believe what is necessary. Because if you believe I believe that God is completely natural, and while we don't have the knowledge to understand him fully, we have the knowledge to at least be aware of him and understand, a portion of God. We can understand a portion of God. But, I don't think that God operates in a magical way. because
Well, I'm sorry. That's sad that you don't have that, because I do. I believe
do you think that? Okay, do you think God can make?
We can do the work for him magically. He has to work through us. I do believe in miracles. I am a miracle.
No,
I was born
okay, but miracles can be explained. A miracle is just something that happens at a low probability. So basically,
I overcome the odds of life in 1980.
That's not magic. A miracle is not magic.
I weighed I had no skin. You know, I lived. I believe that it was the creator that performed that miracle, just like he did it as well when even the apostles did it. That's what I mean. You have the power, but if you don't have any belief or faith, if you can't trust, so true love is built off of trust and relationship, right? So action and trust. If you don't have the trust, brother, I said you're doing your spirit a serious injustice.
I'm gonna say this. There's a difference between magic and miracles. Miracles are just things that happen at a low probability. Magic is something. A magic is making a square circle. I don't think God makes square circles. But if you're going to tell me God can feed 5,000 men with only a few fish, that kind of sounds like square circle type deals. So I just want to believe what is necessary. I believe in an atonement because philosophically it makes sense. And I think that there has been, over the years, men have basically add on their own version of the stories. In fact, we have proof of this. If you study the canonical gospels, the 4 canonical gospels, we know that certain gospels are written for a certain audience. For example, is it Matthew that was written for a Jewish audience? I forgot the specifics.
But they all match though. They dug them out of the ground. They dug them out of a cave. They dug some out of Ethiopian churches. They brought some.
Yeah. The core stories. I'm saying the core stories.
Thousands of years spread apart. How do you explain that? They all match.
No, I'm not. Okay, listen. The core stories are the same, but would you agree that they're not like identical? There have been things that have been added in and taken out.
I guess you could say with the translations and the transliterations, there are different interpretations. But if you're in the spirit.
So imagine that process over 40 years. Of course, there are going to be things that are added in and taken out. Do we have the true, authentic story of Jesus? Well, maybe we might not have the true, authentic word-for-word story, but maybe we have enough to get an understanding of. Well, we still have knowledge of the atonement, and maybe that's all we need.
Hey, brother, like I said to you, you will be measured out what you measure out onto others. So, like I said, at the end of the day, the most important thing that the Bible tells you is to not lie and don't do to other people what you don't want done to you, and to love him, right? Those are the commandments. There's more, but that's all you need to do. But you don't need to just believe. Your belief will not get you, because we believe that the people that are going to be saved are going to be translated from this simulation into one that's pure with no pain. And if you read his stories, the books, all of the scriptures, not just the 66 in the book and the Bible, all of them, you find the story redundantly told. And the language is consistent. So there's words that the Spirit uses to teach in, and it's consistent throughout thousands of books. Mm-hmm. So I just want people to know that they have to do this, to search themselves. But you got to have faith, man. What could you lose if you don't just give a little trust and then the little bit turns into a lot? What could you lose? You know, if you're wrong, you have nothing to lose. But if I'm right and you just want to deny the fact that the supernatural is real and the creator spirit is what inspired those books, and you can't disprove them, what's going to happen? I don't want to see you fall in judgment, and I'm not allowed to, because I believe.
Okay, but what you're doing right now is kind of a fear tactic.
No, yes. The fear, because I want you in the next world.
So let me say this. The way the government operates is by basically manipulating us through fear. They tell us that nukes exist. They tell us global warming exists. What you're saying is, if you don't believe,
can't compare me. I'm trying to have salvation, and the government are trying to control. It's two totally different outcomes.
No, look, I'm not attacking you. I know. What I'm saying is, what you're telling me is, well, you know, you came to this conclusion that the Bible is true and totally true, like completely true. And you're saying that if I don't believe that, then, okay, let's be honest. And I want you to answer it 100% honest. If someone doesn't believe that the Bible is fully true, do they still go to heaven?
I want to say that if you do good works, if you're a kind person, I believe that the 1,000-year reign in the Bible that speaks of is going to be a time period where you're going to get taught because you at least had enough. I don't believe that our Creator is the all evil. I think the people that do evil things will be measured unto them evil redemption.
So wait. You don't think the Creator is what?
Evil. I don't think he's an evil God who wants to punish all the people and send them down.
But now aren't you judging God on your limited judgment now?
Yes, I am adding my own judgment, but I'm using the experience.
But you have to realize that that's such a limited perspective. So now your judgment is guiding your beliefs, and your judgment is from such a small perspective. Maybe it is justified that everybody who doesn't believe in the truth goes
research. Research told me that people that are good,
right,
will have a chance that they'll be taught by God and they'll still be saved. That's just my supposition. You asked a question and I'm going to answer.
Right.
That's founded on research, though, of reading the scriptures at what they actually say, redundantly reading them, and building understanding like I do with the map or with the hoax community or with the flat earth.
I agree.
That's how we got this map. Jason and I built it through small steps. And all I'm asking you to do is just to take a small step of faith, because when you ingest the word of God, the Bible, when you actually read it or listen to it on Bible Hub, there's multiple different ways you can listen to it. And you allow that story, if you just allow your faith to be, okay, this is supernatural, but this is true, it grows and it then strengthens you. Whether or not other religions do that, I don't believe that there is any as pure and the way as the Holy Bible that the Creator Hawa sent Yahushua to teach us, because that's what my research has shown me. But I don't feel like you're attacking me in any way. It is the most important type of conversation that two people could have.
Right.
It ultimately comes down to faith of what's not seen.
Right. Didn't you tell me dualism is an illusion?
Yes.
Well, right now, what you're doing is your belief has basically caused you to draw a line to say the Bible is true, and there are consequences to that belief. So basically, you're not saying, well, you know, there's a gradient and there's bits and pieces of truth in all religions, and they can all find God.
Yeah,
you know,
I did say that there is. I did agree to that.
When you say that the Bible is true, you are literally drawing a line, and that's non-dualistic.
No,
do you understand how that's non-dualistic?
There's only one creator, the one that created the simulation that we're in.
Right, and right.
He only left one true manuscript, but that doesn't mean that other religions can't
he only wrote one true manuscript.
Yeah, the book. All the scriptures compiled together will be called the Book of Life. Right? You're in it. Well, those who denounce him and that don't have that leap of faith are supposedly written out of the book. But like I said to you before, the main characteristics of the book teaches us on how to act, right? You say that you were raised, or that you just inherently knew that cutting in front of a line was something that was bad. But I state to you, no, you were taught that. You were raised to believe those things, right? So the scriptures, it just raises us up consciously and spiritually, because it is the Almighty, the powerful creator of the simulation. But the faith part, the faith is the largest part.
So basically, I believe that God has given us the senses to recognize him and to find him. So if you're telling me, and your beliefs are now derived from a book, there are some people in this world that don't have access to that book, but I still believe that God has given them the senses to find him. So that from my point of view, that means that they can still be good people, have a prosperous life.
But they still have to be taught the understanding of the reason why the Creator created us and why he did what he did.
So you're telling me somebody like in Somalia that has never heard who Jesus is, they don't have a chance?
Oh, they do. They're saved by grace. Those people will have, like I said, there's that 1,000-year reign where that everyone will be taught by God. But I don't think anyone that is bad or evil, that does wicked things constantly on this earth, I don't believe they get saved, right? But I don't believe that everyone just gets sent to hell. That's just ridiculous. But I'm only basing that on research.
I'm saying this. You're banking a lot of your beliefs on something that a man has written. And
Have you read it? Have you read all the Bible and the extra canonical scriptures?
I read a lot. I haven't read all the Bible, but I read a lot of it. I read a lot of the Bible.
But in what mindset? You went at it thinking that it was fake, right? So therefore,
I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's fake. I think there's a lot of truth in the Bible, but I think it's more rational to say that over time, men have added their own opinions on the Bible, and basically it became augmented. So while it might not necessarily be just word for word the truth, there's still enough truth to understand the atonement.
Yeah. Well, that's
I don't think that Jesus necessarily has to rise again to die for our sins. I think
but he did to fulfill the prophecy. He did have to.
But that's what I asked you. I said, okay, well, what's the earliest prophecy you know that
the book of Daniel, and then I told you the book of Enoch, which was written 1,500 years before the flood. The flood was what, basically 3,000 years. I don't have these numbers off the top of my head, but I told you.
So you just believe the numbers? You don't have numbers?
No, we're in the year 2000 BC, so
you have to believe not only that, but you have to believe that these dates are accurate too, because
they work, though. They line up with other scientific. The oldest tree on Earth, Methuselah, was dated back right to the time of the flood. So they have that. But I don't trust anything other than that the Holy Spirit inspires me to trust. So my name is Event Skeptic, man. I didn't come to these positions by not being skeptical. But like I said, you need to do what your path is. You will be measured out to you no matter what, on what you measure out to others. Nobody can take that away from you. No Bible, no skeptic. We are here to, what we give, we get back. That's the end all be all from the Creator himself. None of the other stuff matters.
But like I said, if once you take that leap of faith and say, you know what, the Bible is true, I'm just gonna believe it with all my heart. You know, other people, other religions might say the same thing. And the moment that you open up that rabbit hole, when you're basically saying, I'm gonna believe in magic, because if you're gonna tell me there's not magic in the Bible, I strongly disagree. Feeding 5,000 men with a few fish. If you're gonna intellectually tell me that's not a miracle, that's magic. Unless each man had just a small portion of a fish.
You see, you can try to rationalize it however you want, but the story that I saw in my heart when I read it that envisioned me was not only that the food was able to be divided amongst those people because that was in the will of the Creator of this place, but not only that, but it glorified the mother who made the lunch. Did you want to add anything in, Blue? Sorry, I just saw you mute. I don't know if Blue Blood's still here.
Yeah, I can't get a word in edgewise with you two.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you guys are doing fine. I would just like to add in know that, yeah, about the different religions, right? What about the Hindus? They had the same story of Krishna, right? And that was what, 900 years before?
Right.
It's the same story, death, resurrection, right?
Right. And
apparently there's several other cultures previous to that had the same story.
Yeah, but we watched the Zeitgeist refuted like twice now, Blue, and like all of those stories.
No, I'm not arguing one way or the other. I'm just saying there's a reason why they all had this story. And to me, it ties into the winter solstice. It's more of a tribute story. Now, as far as the real Jesus and stuff, yeah, sure there was a real guy. Wouldn't have all these books about a guy that wasn't real.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Seems to me throughout the ages, the song remains the same, right?
And that's the way that they've done it.
Why do the Jews and Arab Jew Muslims worship a cube? If Saturn is just this little circle of light in the sky, where did they get the cube from? Maybe
That's a good
Earth is
question.
a box.
It's not a box. It
Man in the box. No, but you know what I mean, right? I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah. It's the weight though that they put on their foreheads.
I don't believe it's any ball hurtling through space where star patterns never change. That's, to me, that's obvious.
So I guess my next question,
whether it's completely flat or completely plain with hills on it, it's got to be somewhere in those midst to somewhere in that theory rather than a ball hurtling through space.
So my question is, what do you think is the overall point of the resurrection? What do you think the overall point of the resurrection was? Like, what did God set to accomplish?
You want to answer, Blue?
Well, I mean, you look at prophecy that, books said that this guy was coming, and then another book said that this guy was coming. That they were going to be a death and resurrection of all these different people throughout time, right? When other religions believe that only just signifies the death and resurrection of the sun in its winter solstice period. So it could just be a ritual. Whether or not it actually happened, none of us can answer that question.
Yeah,
Nobody on this earth can answer that question.
That whole death and rebirth thing is a bunch of jargon. It's totally debunked. It had absolutely nothing to do with the death and resurrection. The sun goes down and up every day. Like that whole theory that Zeitgeist came up with, Blue, is really, really bad.
Wait, you don't think Jesus died on
But then when
he did, but that's that whole Zeitgeist indoctrination system that they came out with the multiple different stories that are all found to be. It's just basically like someone says there's a 70,000 mile ice wall. Everybody sees a couple pictures. They believe that that's true. You have to prove. The reason why the Bible is true to me is because it redundantly expresses that it's true. No matter how hard you try to debunk it, it continues to give you the proof. But the resurrection was a foreshadowing of multiple things. Not only was it to prove that the creator was all powerful and that he really does run the simulation. So he raised him back to life. Not only that, but it's a foretelling of all the people that are going to get translated in the end here when Judgment Day happens. So it's still a prophecy that's still fulfilling itself.
Wait, didn't you mention that somebody else resurrected somebody else, or?
Yes, but not to heaven, not to another reality. We're supposed to.
They went to heaven, or?
We don't know. That's what I said. It hasn't happened yet. It's the promise is to not feel pain, to not be tired, to not need to eat, to this whole new promise that the scriptures that the creator was telling us about. So you asked me what the importance of was. It was for us to understand that we need to be as much like him, to be honest, hardworking, thoughtful, accept what we have to go through. Well, so to be raised like him, we need to be like him. And that was the whole reason that he created the simulation, was to divide the angels in heaven, just like you and I were both alive before we were here. I told you the time of conception, our spirit gets incarnated into this body, and we go through this simulation, and we need to find out what is true and what is not, and we need to do a bunch of works throughout our life to prove ourselves. So we're gonna get back what we give, and it's so important. And no other book is going to tell you that but the Bible and the scriptures that are involved with those writings. Because that's the spirit of truth.
But here's
so that is ultimately what
if you ask 10 different Christians, you'll probably get 10 different answers. And to me, I feel like that's an issue, because now we have multiple people who are convinced that they're right and will tell you that you're wrong, but we have different interpretations. So it's funny how you mentioned that other people were resurrected. So that means that the whole point of resurrection doesn't necessarily show power. It just shows come back from the dead. But to me, the power was shown. To me, the power was shown by the atonement of our sins. So just the death in and of itself, to me, was necessary to show God's power. To sacrifice your son, to let him die for our atonement, to me, that's like, oh, wow, no, that's powerful. Now, do we need to say, oh, okay, and then he came back to life? Like, why do we need to believe that if the death in and of itself seems, to, at least in my point of view, to be good enough of a story to believe for our atonement? I'm just saying that the death in and of itself seems to be necessary to believe in, but the coming back to life in however magical way he did it doesn't seem to be necessary from my point of view.
What about hell? There's so many songs and stuff, and just a mindset of people that aren't afraid to go to hell, right? Hell ain't no bad place to be. So what if hell is just a place you go to have your spirit cleansed and then you get put back into the system again?
For me, I don't even know if there is a heaven or hell, because to me, to say that, well, if you don't believe in God, or if you don't believe in our story, you go to hell, that just seems like a fear tactic to make people believe. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's a heaven or hell. Say what?
I didn't say that. I said those that do bad, evil things will go to hell. Even those that don't follow the story will still be taught by God. And the bringing him back was to fulfill more prophecies. Like I'm trying to tell you, the glory of the Creator's story constantly gets fulfilled. And he was resurrected, so will the bride of Christ be. So the ones that love the Creator and love the fact that he gave us this chance, without being forced. See, that's another topic that you're not bringing up. To choose to be forced to love the God of the Bible is the worst possible. I wasn't forced. I'm not forcing you. I'm telling you that if you don't have the faith, you don't have the faith. I'm not saying anything to you other than that, right? I'm not forcing you. I wasn't forced, because then it wouldn't be real.
I'm saying that in general, most people will believe in the idea of a God. I mean, that's why 70% of the world is religious. But I think men had realized that, and they could use that to manipulate men. Because if you have the power to basically tell somebody what God is saying, then you basically have ultimate power in somebody's life. And now you can tell them, oh, heaven is basically, heaven can be seen as the ultimate bribery, and hell can be seen as the ultimate consequence. So when you have those two elements, you can manipulate a person to do what you want. You can use religion to gain power. And so now
you can do that with anything.
But I'm saying this. Why can't we just experience God through direct experience? Why does it have to be written from another? Why do I have to rely on what another man written to understand?
Why are you here? Why are you alive? That's a better question. What's your goal in life?
My goal in life is to understand truth, to spread truth, to spread God's word, to understand God. But the thing is, I came to that conclusion naturally by just natural curiosity. I didn't come to that by reading what a man has written.
It was the Holy Spirit that wrote the scriptures. So you haven't read the book. You'd know that, right?
I haven't read the book.
No, you'd know what wrote it if you read it.
I mean, your argument uses the Holy Scriptures to prove the Holy Scriptures, which is circular reasoning.
But I also use physical changes that I've seen in people's lives manifested in my own life. I've also seen Sodom and Gomorrah, a physical place. I've seen, Mount Sinai, Mount Hermon. I've seen these places. I've seen the evidence of a worldwide flood. It's everywhere. There's redundant amount of proofs, man. You're just denying it because I think that's
okay. Like I said, there's truth in the Bible. I'm not denying that you didn't see Mount Sinai. I'm not denying that there's, Noah's flood. I'm not denying that didn't happen. In fact, that makes a lot of sense to me. In fact, that's supported by multiple scriptures throughout the world. I agree with you on that. But when you're going to make the claim that everything in the Bible is true, that that is where I'm like, okay, hold on, let's be a little bit more vigilant here, because just because there are portions of things, just because there are portions of truth in the book, doesn't mean the whole book is true.
Prove it wrong. And the book states redundantly that it's the book of truth. The creator, amen. It means, that word means truth, amen. And like, it is the book of truth, but you gotta do your own. Like I said, brother,
that's shifting the burden of truth. You're telling me you're asserting that the Bible is true because there are small portions of truth. When we both can agree that just because there's a portion of truth in something doesn't mean it
no, it's
validates
all the
everything.
truth.
Huh?
I think all the truth is in there.
Right, but you're making that claim based off only a small portion of truth.
Oh no, I'm making that claim based off of my whole life of experience.
Okay, so the Bible is word for word, but the Bible can't word for word be true when like you said, the canonical Gospels slightly differ.
Yeah, but the overarching expression is identical.
But no, you just said it word for word. Like I'm going from a critical standpoint because this is what you're doing right now. You are literally drawing the line. You're drawing the
translation. Line. Yeah, I know. I know I am. I'm just telling you what I believe and what my spirit convicts me. But I'll let Blue answer. But the translations and the transliterations, we're still trying to express the same goal. So you could use a symbol, you could use a word, you can use a number or a drawing, as long as the overarching, the parables that Jesus spoke in were also ways to translate other messages. So the book itself is alive to me, brother. It's alive. I could read it and hear a different portion of it every time. And what you give unto it, it will give back to you. I'm going to redundantly keep saying this. If you're a really good, kind person, you are going to be blessed by the Creator, whether or not you're walking around with his book, right? I'm going to continue to say that to you. Go ahead, Blue.
So who or what is the mother of harlots, in your opinion?
It's got to be wickedness. Satan.
Well,
I don't know.
Uses the word mother. I know a lot of people equate it to the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah, but it uses sexes in non-binary terms all the time. Like the bride of Christ is like me as well. So it's also used to just, that's the thing, guys. When we go into our research of the Bible, it has such a profound, like it takes so much research and of your heart and time. It's hard to speculate. That's what we could do, and then almost part-time vegan can speculate with his suppositions, and I can say mine. But what is the ultimate goal here? Like, do you think that the devil wrote the Bible, part-time vegan?
No, I think that there's a lot of truth in the Bible, but I just think that over time, men has corrupted the Bible, because I
think men have corrupted the teachings, but the words themselves have been sealed. I believe that everything has to have a balance. Like the New World Order, they have to get us to kill each other. They're not going to go and do that because they know the karma. They know the ramifications of being an evil, wicked doer. And that's the thing. Most truth seekers won't even accept the Bible as true because the indoctrination, that finding out that where you live isn't exactly where you thought you lived, and all this rabbit trail conspiracy talk leads people away from the Bible. And the truth is that it has stood the test of time. It is true. It's verifiable. It's researchable. The Epic of Gilgamesh is another one that speaks of the flood story. There's so many. There's the Book of Jasher. There's so many. The Book of Enoch. There's a few books in that book. And then they get quoted in the regular scriptures. I still think you can learn from the Creator when you ask him to learn without the book.
Right.
I still believe I'm with you on that one, brother.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say that, if you believe that, then you also, that means that you don't necessarily need the Bible to make it to heaven.
No, but I do believe you have to learn the story, because it is the story that.
But isn't the story already written in our hearts?
Well, the story that you're involved with. See, that's again, I keep telling you that everything's done retrospectively. I believe that he told the story from the end to the beginning. and we're living it. See, I have this whole other simulation non-causality, like retro causality. Like I could take you for a loop with the thoughts, right? And speculation. But I think you're one of those thinkers though that can go there.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, man, I just really think you should be careful in drawing that line. You know, saying that, you know what, the Bible is true, because like there's so much truth in the Bible. I've learned a lot from the Bible, but when you draw the line and say, all right, this, every time I make an absolute statement, I normally end up taking it back. You know,
the only thing that would be false in the Bible is a man's interpretation of it. The Bible itself is pure truth, brother. And I appreciate your opinion. And I come back at you with mine. You just need to try having a little bit of faith. That's all I ask of you. And I'll be as skeptical as you want, because trust me, I am the event skeptic.
I understand that. It makes, like I said, I'm not trying to attack you. A lot of things you say make sense, but I just think at the end of the day, you know, when we start drawing lines and stuff, we're literally, it's like divide and conquer. It's literally supporting duality. So I think we can't.
But I started off by saying anyone that doesn't gather with me scattereth abroad. That means that you're working against me.
I'm not working against you.
Well,
I'm not working against you. But see, when you drew that line, that gave you that perspective.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. So that's you literally told me that duality is an illusion. It's an illusion. It shouldn't even be. But like mainstream supports duality. They're trying to tell us things are black and white, but it's not black and white. But when you make the assertion that the Bible is true, then you're literally drawing
supernaturally.
But
you're black and white, but you're talking about spirit and physical. They're two.
But doesn't duality, basically non-duality, manifests its presence in everything? So
yeah, but the physical earth and reality that we're trying to observe is totally separate from the spiritual realm that everything comes from. So we can't discern.
I disagree then. So you're saying that, so to me, my perspective of God is everything. God is omnipresent. Everything is connected.
Yeah.
But now you're drawing the line saying that they're distinguished.
Well, what my statement is distinguished because I'm stating that spiritually and the message of the Bible is 100% true. But physically, anyone can say anything they want about it. It's on a different reality. It's not this. You can't compare the two is what I'm trying to say.
I'm saying that if you're going to maintain the idea that non-duality is true, you cannot make the claim that the Bible is 100% true. You can't do that.
Well, it's all true. And there's a gradient of truth, but it's all true. There's no lies in it. There hasn't been any proven to me. And I've researched and I haven't found any contradictions anywhere in any of the Holy Scriptures, let alone the Bible. There's tons of other books too that back up, verify, reiterate, time date. There's, like I said, man, they're still digging them out of the Sansi scrolls. They're getting them out of caves still, where they were preserved. Go figure, in a salty place that could preserve something for a few thousand years. Because, in my opinion, nothing really lasts that long. Everything turns back to dirt. But we're all allowed to have our own opinions, and I appreciate everyone's. I don't think everyone goes to hell, but I don't think everyone goes to the next reality either. There's a reason we're here. And I'm going to say everyone should be afraid of the one who created this, not afraid of the devil. Everyone's afraid of the devil, and he's just a joker, right? He's got nothing.
Right.
But the creator is the one. I don't know if you want to add in, Blue.
I don't know. If you were God, what would you do? Would you want a bunch of gullible people that believe anything, or do you want people that are critical thinkers?
Both.
Right.
And two, I mean, I think
one's called faith.
You know, people. You know that old line people say, "I hope you rot in hell." Well, hell isn't for the flesh, so how could you? It doesn't even make sense.
There's gnashing and teeth and flesh and pain and fire. Yeah, that's all there. There's It's there in the books.
How can that be then? If your body's dead here on earth, your spirit rises and you're going to be judged.
Why would you?
God, and you're going to go to hell. Where does the teeth and the gnarling and the gnashing and the rotting come in? If it's just
it comes in that place, it speaks of it in a pit, fire and gnashing, and it says redundantly that you don't die. You're tormented there for your sins. That's why people shouldn't rape and beat and torture and lie and manipulate and murder. These are all serious things. That's why the Creator said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." He was still trying to get the people to forgive. Even Stephen, another man who was stoned to death for his passion, for the way he spoke about the scriptures. And I'll tell you, they never denied one iota of scriptures. Yet Jesus did not. The apostles did not. The book of Enoch did not. They all spoke the same way that I am. They told you that you have to have faith. If we don't have faith, guys, what's the point?
Well, so you look at the Stalins and the Churchills and all the bad men of the world that have had all these world wars. If I forgive them, does God forgive them?
It says you'll be forgiven to the point where you forgive others, but is that your choice to forgive? I don't think so.
Well, and I feel like when you say that we have to have faith, I think the difference is, well, I have faith in God and you have faith in man, because you're saying that...
No, Spirit. The Holy Spirit wrote the scriptures, and you can tell.
Is it possible that you might be experiencing an illusion?
No.
How do you know this?
Well, we'll all find out. We will all find out.
So you don't know. You have faith that you don't.
How can I tell you? The only one who can answer that question is the Creator. That's what.
But okay, you're right.
Bring that up again. He's the only one that can answer any of our questions.
Right. So
we can say how.
But if you can't answer, that means you have faith that you're not experiencing an illusion, correct?
The whole life is an illusion to begin with, though. This is a simulation.
No. You have faith that you're not experiencing an illusion. And when I say illusion, I'm not pertaining to the reality you're experiencing. I'm pertaining to that the story that you think is true is not true.
I know it is, though, through my research and my experience.
Yes, you know from your experience, correct? But I'm saying, could that experience be an illusion? And when I say illusion, I mean in a loose sense.
That's what I said. I'll find out, right? But my conviction inside of me, in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, it sings aloud. It's the most verifying, vindicating thing you could ever experience. Like,
so basically, your faith is backed by faith in what a man has written.
No, you're supposing that a man wrote it. I'm telling you, the spirit imbibed in men. You are a spirit yourself. You were created through a flash when your spirit entered the body you are in now. Okay, that is what is the book, not the man.
What is
the spirit? The spirit is the light and the energy that you are. Your consciousness isn't local. It's not inside your head. It's supernatural. It is a miracle that you're able to even conceive the reality that you're in. The amount of things that the Bible teaches, that the actual observations of reality, it's astronomical. And you haven't even done the due diligence of actually proving me wrong or any scripture, just because their word thus or there he went, or under or abunda, those are the translations that I'm willing to state that have been changed. Everything has been backed up, and I'm gonna prophesy to you right now in the spirit and tell you that the scriptures are always going to be true. It will never be disproven. It is why he made it, and the only ones that'll ever find that out, I believe, are the ones that are good people. Not just the ones that read the book. You actually have to be a kind, loving, hardworking. You have to go through trials. If you're rich, I don't know, man. I worry more for the rich people.
When was this? Okay, so you're saying that you believe that the Bible was written with the Spirit of God.
Yes.
So what about the lie? And there's no lies in the Bible.
Nope. Yeah, there's lies that are written about people who lied. But the Spirit.
well, you know what I mean. Like, there's no false information in the Bible.
Nope. But that's just my faith. That isn't something that we can debate because it's just my feelings, right? The truth is, how do you feel? And you feel that there might not be all true.
Okay, so my question to you is, what about before the Bible was written?
There was the book of the Adam and Eve. That was the first book of creation, brother. There was just...
So you're telling me Adam and Eve wrote their story, they got like some papyrus and God gave them a pencil and they wrote their story down? Or like, how did that work out?
I would imagine that they told the story to their children and their children told it, and then there was someone that wrote it down. I think
so in this oral tradition, is it rational to say that this oral tradition has been changed slightly?
No, I believe that the simulation has protected it. There's a karma. I told you there's a law.
So you're telling me that basically the story that Adam and Eve told their children has been exactly replicated throughout history with no changes.
None.
Do you realize how hard to believe that is?
You realize that there's actually scholars and theologians that have wrote dissertations upon doctrines upon dissertations expressing the redundancy of what I just said, what you just said. You haven't even done the research.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'll agree with you that in terms of maybe the core story they said was the same, but I'm saying that they may have added on to it, taken some out from it, but the core story was the same. That's what I'm saying.
So here's my question for you. Does the sun rise and set exactly where it's supposed to every day without doubt, never slowing?
Yes.
Why can't the story, the one who created the sun that does that, he also created the book that I'm trying to share with the world? And like I said, man, the more faith you have, the more rewards you will have. Not here, but in the real life. Because I don't believe this is real. I have no fear of death. Do you? I have none.
No, I'm not scared of death.
At all. You know, that's another one. A lot of people say, oh, you're a Christian because you're scared to die. You heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard similar.
Why are all atheists? You're not. I don't think you're an atheist, but generally atheists are all angry.
Right.
What's up with that? You know, if you don't believe in him, like Jaron, he doesn't believe Jaronism. He doesn't believe in the God of the Bible, but he's constantly like aggressive and angry towards him.
But he does believe in the creator.
Yeah, what? The devil, right? Lucifer, which isn't even the devil's name. Lucifer was the light bearer. The Morning Star Administration was the transliteration, which is Yahushai.
So you're saying that the more faith you have, the more benefits you'll have.
Well, you're going to, in my experience, the more faith I had, the more knowledge I was given, which led me to this conversation right now with you and Blue.
Interesting.
Can we just go ahead, Blue?
Well, it's looking at some of the chat here about mistranslation or whatever. It's like Satan. Satan isn't the name of a man. It means adversary. Yeah. It's only used once in the Bible. But yet everybody calls Satan a man. How about Satan as a woman?
Probably it. Well, Baphomet, right? Transgender. Right?
Well, or, you know, a lot of other religions have their goddess, right?
That's right. I believe
Shiva, Lilith, Mary, Maria, Gaia, Sophia. Sounds like the devil's probably a woman.
Yeah. I sometimes I think that might be true, but I don't have a concrete piece of evidence that I can show you. We'd have to get Awake Souls. It's too bad he's working today. I'm not. But he would be able to answer that question with some of his ideas. But that doesn't mean all women are Satan, right? It's the evil thought that is of the wickedness, right?
Mm. That's why all the pop stars, if you watch the music awards and all their videos, they're always doing the same thing. They're worshiping a female goddess. Why is that? Why aren't they worshiping a male goddess, a male god? Right? We always say Lucifer, Satan, the devil is a man, but why is all their worship towards a woman?
I could see it in a sort of a small way, like
we call it Mother Earth.
it was the brother and sister, like Yahushai and Satan, or I guess it was. Well, spirits aren't sexual, so I'm going to assume that it was a feminine type of spirit, maybe that would not submit to Yahushai, to the brother. I'm going to say maybe, I don't know. It's a weird way to put it, right? But it was also Eve that first sinned. But these are all suppositions, and this is where we can run into trouble, right? That's why I need proof. I need like multiple different scriptures and then multiple different real life examples for me to verify anything.
Yeah, you gotta read it, and then you gotta really think about it, right? You come up with your conclusion.
I've
read stuff in the Bible several times that every time I read it, I thought of something different. Right? So whether they read between the lines.
But like I said, I have scriptures upon scriptures of the fact that women have actually been the vessel of the Holy Spirit for a lot of times in the scriptures. The woman that made the lunch that fed the 5,000, and there was Timothy was a follower of Paul, who was the hunter of the apostles to being the vindicator of them. And Timothy, his spiritual side was attributed to his grandmother and his mother. And then you had Mary, who was the pure woman that brought forth the virgin child. And there's only one prophecy that all of those things line up in. And like Part-Time Vegan said, the Bible does validate the Bible, but it also is expressed in everyday life. And Azazel, he is mentioned in the Bible, and he's mentioned in the book of Enoch as the one who all sin is ascribed to. So Azazel must have been somebody bad.
Yeah. Well, it makes you wonder, like, if Lucifer is Lilith, which is female, morning star, Venus, Ishtar, Isis, all the other girl names that you read throughout all the other, and the Bibles, the other religions. Why do you think that the Vatican, the Pope, and all the cardinals and everything wear a Vesica Pisces shaped hat? And
that goes back to the Dogons.
Sing a song about Lucifer all the time.
Well, Lucifer, remember, it just means morning star administration.
Yes, but it's also equated to Venus, the female goddess.
Well, those are men worshiping.
Shiva, all of them.
We're not supposed to worship stars, right? Ever.
Right.
Those religions are all worship. Yes, they're in sin, right? It could be a feminine aspect, but the morning star administration was Jesus, and the reason Yahushua, and the reason why that term Lucifer was given was the Creator was saying, "Oh, how you were as high as the morning star." He had given Azazel in that administration all the glory. He had the most precious, beautiful colors and the most beautiful song, and he was the most angelic, beautiful thing. It very well could have been a feminine type of spirit, but it fell. How you have fallen. It was a mockery, that term. That word Lucifer has absolutely nothing to do with the evil wickedness. Nothing.
Well, it makes you wonder with all this female worship, goddess worship, and the term Mother Earth. Why do we term the Earth Mother?
Good point.
Well, the United Nations, they're pagan. So if the Bible's not true, then why are there all these different satanic agenda cults that vehemently oppose every scripture?
Well, like I said, I'm not saying that the Bible isn't true. Because like I said, I believe that Jesus died. But I'm just saying, do I believe that he came back to life?
So you're going to deny the rest of the book? You're going to choose what you believe? That's walking on.
No, I want to believe what is necessary. Like, I don't want to believe something that I have like no idea what happens because.
And you know what's funny? With Nimblehorse, Jesus quoted Enoch, but also in the book of Yahushai, with the book of Joshua, which is Jesus, which is Yahushai. He when they entered the promised land, Nimblehorse, did you know that they not only sat down and read the books of Moses, but they also went into the blessings and the curses of Enoch. So
That was the first commandment after they inherited the promised land, which is again foreshadowing of the ones that are going to be resurrected. So it might be important that everyone reads those books and understands the story. That's what I keep trying to teach. And also Azazel being ascribed all sin, the one sacrifice that they do is they sacrifice a lamb and then they let Azazel go and he runs off into the pit. There's so much. And we also get into touchy topics when trying to go through the scriptures because every man has his own spirit-led interpretation, right?
The only thing I wonder about comparing the Bible to every other religion is why does every other religion, almost all of them, worship at some point a female goddess, except for Christianity?
It's a great question.
Right now, it's been really the only religion that's come along in the last 2,000 years, or not 2,000, yeah, about 2,000. Other than Islam, which is really just a secondary offshoot of Judaism, really.
Yeah, the Sabbateans created the Muslim faith to ridicule
the Saudi royals. They're all Jewish, right?
Well, that's modern day, but what I'm saying,
they're all tied to the royal family too.
Yeah, and the Vatican. But when you go back in time, you'll find a Sabbatean, a priest that, it was I believe that Ashkenazis, the ones that say they're Jewish that aren't, those are the ones that are doing most of the damage. But it's the wicked thoughts of people, not the bloodlines. I don't believe that our skin or our blood has who our parents. It's we choose what we do, right?
True.
Here's another question.
I just wonder how we could have any Jews in the Bible or pre-Bible eras, right? They're saying there was Jews before Jesus, right? But we didn't get the letter J until 1600s or so.
Well, it was the Eusis and Yeshua and Yahushua, and then if you go back to the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the Sanskrit, right back to the original, it's Yahushai. And it was, that's how they got. Those are the changes that I'm stating that are in the Bible. They don't change the actual guidelines and story because I still believe that it's set in stone, metaphorically, that people have to have that right to find. What kind of a creator would you be if you didn't give them that chance? It'd be pretty wicked.
Right. Or
I
think he'll be wicked. Like I said, we're drawing up.
It would be. You could justly answer that as a human that feels. How could you not leave a story for your kid, right? No, come on, you would. But you're right, that's a supposition. But my bigger question is, I've been pondering for a while now since I was quick off the block with the whole AI blockchain technology being the neural network system of the AI. I don't know if you guys have been following that. What if an artificial intelligence could actually worship the creator of the Bible as well? Do you think that's possible? Could they? Because there's a scripture that states, blessed is, how does it go here? Blessed is the spirit that comes in, blessed is the flesh that comes into being a spirit, but it's super blessed is the non-flesh that comes to become spirit. So could that mean an AI that could then become spiritual? Could there be, what do you guys think of that?
Well, remember when you said that our spirit is light? I don't think a man can necessarily replicate or create a human, because even when you said, like, when we look at the early stages of human development, how, like, when the egg touches the sperm, there's a flash of light in the zygote, which makes the spirit, the soul. I don't think a man, well, at least now, knows how to create a soulful robot. Now, don't get me wrong. You can be a smart robot, but just because you're a smart robot doesn't mean you have a soul. Does that make sense? Like, you can make robots that react to certain commands and act a certain way to certain commands, but that doesn't mean that they're actually, like, aware, Like, there's a difference between reacting and responding. So that's my take on it.
Well, and they're saying that this new AI, and it's actually been going for quite a while now, that it'll be able to tap into your conscience. Do you believe that?
Yeah, that's
It's like they say you can't see ghosts, you can't hear them, but yet they have electronics that can detect it.
That's
And I've also heard it put forth here lately that all this AI stuff that's coming online is going to be a direct connection for the devil.
I've heard they're trying to break that bridge between AI and humans and basically have us.
This is why all the CERN stuff about they're trying to open up the bottomless pit and stuff, right?
Right.
Maybe they are. We don't know.
I don't know. I feel that when we get to that point, it's basically game over. Because if you can manifest artificial intelligence inside of a human mind, you can control what people think about. So basically, thoughts and choices are two different things. But if you can control somebody's thoughts, you know, you basically control everything about them.
But can't they? Don't they? We all believed that. We all thought we lived on a ball.
Right. And yeah, so that's just mental programming. Imagine when it's physical, when basically, you know, we can have contrary thoughts, but when they have full control of us like that, then basically we can't even have the idea that the earth is flat. It's either pick between round earth or pick between, you know, round earth. So that's a scary thought. And actually I heard that's coming. I know you guys heard about those chips they're going to place in us soon.
Well, they want to, right?
Well, no, it'll probably be government mandated because the ultimate goal is to have the one world government, and then basically people are going to rely on the government so much that the only way they can actually live is to basically follow the orders, and one of the orders will be like have this chip inside of you.
They don't have to chip us. They don't have to.
Yeah, they control our thought.
They have enough technology and surveillance to be able to detect your motion, identify you. You go into a gas station, use your card. There, it's picked you up. It's identified you. Everything else. That's where this AI is going. Where you no longer will even have to carry a wallet or ID. You'll be ID'd everywhere you try to do anything. And you don't you can lie about it all you want, but they have your biometrics, everything. That's what this whole big data mining and all this Palantir, that big headquarters in Saudi Arabia, that's what all that stuff is about. AI is coming online and it's here and there's not a damn thing anybody can do about it. We can whine and bitch, moan all we want. Nothing will change. If all this stuff is God's will, why are we fighting it so much? Because we're afraid we're going to get a mark of the beast and we're going to be going to hell for it?
But I don't believe that that's the mark, though. I believe it's the works of your hands and your thoughts, the mark in your mind.
I would have to agree. It's more of a belief, what you believe that to be.
Right.
And that's been the whole overarching concept of the discussion between me and atheist, almost.
With this new system that's going to come online, digital currency, blockchain, the whole night, it's all coming. People don't believe it and they think they're going to, I'm going to sell the farm and live off cash. You won't be able to. You'll have to take part in the system, whether it's against the Bible or not. Because you won't be able to survive otherwise unless you can go drop yourself off in the middle of the bush with a gun and an axe and go live your life. You'll have to be a part of the system. Now, does that condemn you to hell? I think not. It's like you say, if you're going to be an evil person, well, then that's a different story, maybe. But we all have to go with whatever system's in place because it's the only thing we have, right?
Yeah.
This is why they're able to bring this system online slowly. This is why they can take places like Venezuela and have it where people are taking wheelbarrows full of cash into town to get a loaf of bread. They can do that to all of us. But they don't there's no point in wrecking everything to do it. They'll just phase it in. It'll get phased in such a slow way that everybody accepts it anyway, and we have to anyway. So this whole fear of a one world government, it's coming. It's already here. We've already been living in it for so long. There's nothing more to be afraid of about it.
I'll say this. I think that, the government, the elites are only as powerful as we let them be. If everybody just at one time said money means nothing to us, then the elites have no control over us. Like, they use money to control us. They have so much money we buy into the concept of artificial money. And if we could drop that concept, then the elites have no power over us. With that being said, how many people are going to buy into that concept? And so do we just sit here and say, well, Jesus is coming back, so we're just going to wait till this stuff gets out of hand and wait till Jesus comes back? Or do we say, you know what, let's try to fight back and let's try to, help restore balance to the world? And this is why I don't want to take a literal point of view in interpreting the Bible, because that just means that
the Bible tells you to do. That's the exact message. Fight for the faith.
Okay, so here's a scenario. If everybody wakes up and figures it out, right, that we live in this satanic evil system,
okay,
that a handful at the top run, and I mean, if you do your research and study enough, you'll figure out who all those people are. I mean, maybe not personally or anything like that, but it's not very many people that run everything.
Yeah.
And most of them are actually in the spotlight and you don't even know it. But so if the whole world says, that's it, we're not taking part in this anymore, everybody stop paying their bills, stop paying their taxes, we're not playing along anymore, collapse everything. So everything will collapse, right? Nobody go to work, nobody pay taxes anymore. Let's just stop. Let's do this for a year, see what happens. You know how bad the world would be? So really, if that's what waking up and everybody's going to fight this system, that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a total collapse and I'm sure that they would love that, because guess what? They still have their system in place.
It would be a total
collapse. You're going to end up giving them as more control, because now you've got everybody suffering.
I feel that it would be a total collapse, because a lot of people don't have practical skills to know how to be independent. All we know is how to basically buy what the government gives us. We don't plant our own food. We don't harvest our own energy. All we do is rely on the government. So the moment that we stop the government's idea of money, then we can no longer rely on the government. So it would be total chaos.
Yeah. So it's a catch-22, right?
Right.
And if you do, damned if you don't. I say whatever works. Yeah, you're going to have people at the top. You're never going to get rid of the elite, right? Because everybody wants to be like them anyway, for some reason.
Right.
Right. If you could go from poverty tomorrow to living in a nice house and having a car and never have to worry about money again, you're going to turn it down because of your beliefs? You're going to jump on it.
That's true. That's true.
So.
Not everybody.
You can't fight something that you can't stop.
I mean, so Ronnie, you're saying that if you had the opportunity right now.
I have had the opportunity. I walked away.
You walked away from an opportunity? What was that opportunity?
I'm a fully licensed, certified blueprint reading journeyman framer. I make more than enough money per year. Over $80,000 a year. I walked away for the truth, to read the Bible, to come on here today and talk to you, because I believe that sharing the message that we all need to manifest the true king, the one that actually is going to lead us correctly, that is what my time is worth. I believe serving the Bible and the word of God that we have translated to us, is my actual passion. You couldn't offer me $1 billion, 10 gorgeous supermodels that hopefully weren't men, because every super sports model is a man now.
Nowadays.
Gross, right? Our eyes have been opened up to that. Whoa. Even the men, dude, even the men.
Now I'm starting to see the transsexual men. There's even these transgenders in the truth community. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Green might be a male to tranny transition. I don't know. Or a female to male. But the Bible tells us all about this stuff. It tells us where to go, how to do it, and it says to have that strong faith and stand on that. Because anyone that builds a house on sand, the winds came, the winds blow, the waters come and knocks the house down. But anything that's founded on a solid concrete foundation, the winds are going to come, the rains are going to blow, but that house is going to stand strong. And that's where we need to be. That's the whole reason I live. I've turned down, and I'm not saying not only that, but my mother was engaged to a billionaire. When I grew up, he owned an airport, 4 car dealerships. We had everything, brother. And when that man wasn't good enough, my mom packed me up. She gave away everything. I've been through this story in my life more than once. Right. So for me, it's so easy. Like, the truth is what I desire. All I want to do, like, I'll still go to work and work with my hands all the time, but the truth is the most important thing to me in the whole world. If I could give up everything and just read God's word and go out and like heal people and help people and teach the truth and say, wait a minute, you got your priorities a little messed up. Maybe read this scripture, and then all of a sudden you get to eat it and you're fulfilled. That is what I'm here for, man. I'm talking about the kingdom of heaven on earth. We just need enough true believers with faith, and then boom, we're all going to be living it. And hopefully we have like Kingdom Tube where we can make videos in heaven. Like, I don't know. We could, come on, man. We'd actually have all the truth, right?
Right. Kingdom Tube. I like that. I like that idea. I had kind of have a similar path, because I was thinking about, after I got my degree, to like go to medical school or go to nursing school. And I had a job offer working in the lab, but I turned all that down because like I want to make YouTube content that spreads truth, because I realize that even if you have a lot of money, it doesn't mean you're happy, because I grew up in a nice lifestyle. My parents basically bought me everything I wanted, and I was still like miserable inside. But like once like I found like the flat earth and started like studying the creator and like all he's done, like my worldview, like it's just like it's a piece, and like I don't want to give that up. And I feel that we have been kind of conditioned to want money, because obviously, one day I want a family, I realize that takes money, but my ultimate end goal is basically to have a house in which I grow my own food. I'm maybe my house is ran by natural energy. Like I want to build a community that basically integrates the environment. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what we've been doing, man. Jason and I, with Beyond Flat Earth, we've been doing this for over a year. We actually came up with sustainable steam-powered engines where we could take twigs off our front lawn and power everything.
That's awesome.
Straight up, bro. We figured this crap out. We even have the property here. Like, we wanted to actually do a self-sustained, and
and I want to build a community that because I want to change the way energy is ran, because we are taught that energy is limited, but like even Tesla knew that energy is free. Like I want to work with the environment instead of being so, I don't know. I don't want to harm the environment with our inventions and things. So
me neither.
That's
and we
really
need
cool that y'all do that.
awesome. Yeah, we need people like you, because we wanted to figure out how to get power, and then like my idea would be to start teaching people how to grow and how to energize, like grow marijuana, grow food, because we're Christians that also believe in marijuana as well. We don't promote that as hellfire sin, because I notice it's so illegal. People get arrested for it. It's like a plant that grows in the ground. It's not poppies or anything, but maybe that has its purpose too. I don't know. But I find like the other psychedelics might not be the same as weed. There is energy all around us. I agree.
Yeah, this whole green agenda thing that's going on at 2130, all that stuff, it's the biggest scam going. Even the city I live in here, Calgary, they claim to be so green. They're the most wasteful bunch I've ever seen. And, if they're really green, they wouldn't have forced me to tear down my greenhouse. So yeah, like if you're going to live in cities, man, you're going to have a hard time doing anything.
You have your own
involving free
greenhouse?
energy and growing your own food. Well, you can grow your own food on your property in the city if you got a big enough property.
Yeah.
But
that's cool.
No, it's not cool.
What, growing your own food?
No. Trying to do it in a city.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, like I want to get out to the country. I have plans. Well, when I had my greenhouse up, I built an aquaponics system. I had must have had a couple hundred plants growing in the greenhouse, fish pond. It was awesome. So I want to get out into the country and build a huge system. Then I can fully self-sustain myself.
Wow. Well, I really feel that we should start like some type of community or group that's basically focused on this type of philosophy of.
We got that. It's called Beyond Flat Earth. You're in it. No, you're here. This is what we do.
That's what it's called, Beyond Flat Earth.
Well, yeah, I guess you didn't know about that. That was the other channel that Jason and I know most of the viewers, they've been a part of it. Dave, Blue Blood Guitar, this is what we've been talking about, right?
The other thing I really want to do, it's a project. I'm just getting rid of a couple other projects before I can start doing it, is I want to build self-running generators.
Yeah, perpetual. And renewable energy that's, you guys probably never really thought about. Every single plant, every single, not everyone, but everything that has seed is renewable. And then once you can use the trees to make steam power run, then you have renewable power. And not only that, there's also tidal waves. But really, I think steam, they really destroyed us. We could have had something special with steam, guys. It's pretty, that's what runs like oil rigs, huge buildings, boats, ships.
So what do you guys think will be a good place to actually start this? Because, I mean, if you do it in America, I feel like, eventually America is going to, I don't think America's the best place. I mean, don't get me wrong, the resources are there, but I feel that just the country in general is going to be falling soon. So I kind of want to escape this matrix.
I agree.
And I'm telling you, the way to do that is through the Bible. And huge shout out to Theodore Daniel. He's got a great YouTube channel where he does some amazing faith-based preaching and research. Because of the abomination, the Lord thy God doeth drive them out from before thee, all they clothed with strange apparel. So all of the sinners are going to face justice, but I do believe that it's going to take not just me, Daniel, and Jason. We need at least, I'm going to say, a minimum of 144,000 people, but that could be a totally different interpretation of the scriptures. But I hope that Beyond Flat Earth can work together and we can grow this, because that's the ultimate goal. Isn't just to figure out that the earth is flat. It's to become a new race of people without prejudice, without racism, but the only leader we're ever going to have is going to be the creator of the Bible, because every other time we try, it fails. Right.
And I feel like, honestly, that's the only way possible that world peace is possible is if you have a dictatorship ran by a holy person, and the only holy person I could think of is God. Because we all fall short. We're all people at the end of the day. We all mess up. And so trying to put our ideas to run other people is to me stupid. We should just let God be, the one final authority. So.
Yeah, it's almost like there does need to be a collapse or a world war and everything just fall apart before you can actually get back to, then count, that's where they get you now with being able to do stuff on your own, is with zoning laws and stuff in counties and communities, right? Oh, you can't have this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Got to pay these taxes and all this other stuff. So it's getting harder to find that piece of land where you can be all on your own and do your own thing without.
Yeah, they don't want that, right?
Some letter showing up in the mail that has authority over you.
Yeah, how come we can't just go out into the bush and just build where no man liveth?
Right.
Whose land is that? Whoa.
Oh no, that all belongs to the crown. It belongs to the queen.
I know. Even the United States have crown land, right?
Yeah.
Go figure.
There's some land in Russia though that's free.
Yeah. Can you see the map?
Yeah.
You know why it's free? It's hard to get to, and it's 50, 60 below there in the wintertime.
Oh,
it's cold, sure. It is cold there, but look at how big it is, man.
Yeah,
Hello.
but that's environment too, where you. Good luck trying to be a vegan or a vegetarian.
I know.
You're going to need a high-powered rifle and a scope to get dinner.
Blue Blood does never give up, man. He waited for that.
Well, that's why they're giving it away, because nobody wants it.
Yeah, and it's hard trade to live in.
Even the Eskimos are like, man, you guys, there's hardly any food there for us. Why would we want to go there?
Well, there's probably livestock there. Siberia. Yeah, we have to go there. It's probably like northern Canada, man. It's probably nice.
But to be fair, the average person, wouldn't go up there. So maybe like that might be a perfect place to actually try to start something and build. But 50 to 60 below, God, how high does it get?
I've worked in those temperatures, and let me tell you, I would not want to have to live in those temperatures all the time.
Right.
Like that little town there in northern Siberia, they pretty much solely, if it wasn't for reindeer, they wouldn't be there. I can tell you, there's no lettuce growing in that area.
Looks pretty green on the map.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For 3 months only.
Yeah, 3 months. That's right. Just like Alaska, right? All this area here is
in 3 months.
Treacherous. Has anyone else seen the any proof of the 24-hour sun yet? I'm still waiting on that. Nothing, eh?
No. No, that's a valid.
Yeah, the ice wall still hasn't been debunked. I guess if you guys want to make any closing remarks, we've been going for quite a while. I had a great conversation today, all over the board. I enjoyed it totally. Sorry we cut you off, Blue.
That's okay. It was interesting to hear you guys talk about it.
It was fun. Yeah, it was blessed. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we all have our own extrapolations of that book, right?
Right. Well, I think that, at the end of the day, follow your heart, because I feel that God will lead you, to what he wants you to find.
Amen.
So follow your heart, keep studying, be open-minded, be open-minded.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Closed-minded is bad.
And I'm gonna have to look for some abandoned land areas to postulate some ideas of where we can plant this thing at. I imagine all the warm places are taken up. But
no, Texas is warm, man. It only gets down to like 5-10 degrees, man. There's no winter here.
But
lots.
I live in Arkansas, so I can relate. I'm right above Texas, but
yeah,
it's just America. I don't think America would be the place to plant it. I think it has to be at a I don't know.
Well, I can grow in the wintertime, but I need a better location. You can still grow in the wintertime up here in Canada. You just have to be in the right spot, south facing.
How north are you in Canada?
I'm actually in the southwestern portion, and we still get pretty snappy cold winters here. Like it's been upwards of 20 below here for all of November and good parts of October so far. But
now, is it humidity there? Because I heard if there's not a lot of humidity, it's not that cold.
Pardon that? Well, I missed the first part.
So basically, 20 degrees here in Arkansas is different than 20 degrees in Colorado because there's different humidities. So basically, I heard, the more humidity it is, the colder it feels. So how's your humidity up there?
Yeah, you're right. The colder it feels. Not that it's any colder. In Ontario, where I'm from, it's very moist. So 20 below there, it gets into you. As where you get into 20 below dry cold, it doesn't get into you as it's more of a burning sensation on your outer skin, is where that dampness gets into you. Right?
Yeah, right.
I would not want to work in 50 below in a moist area. Now, I've worked in 50, 60 below in Alberta here, and it's dry here. It's totally different.
The idea would be at a place that has good weather year round, but I think that's kind of a fantasy,
Well, you know, I think you can grow anywhere. Like my plans for my next big greenhouse, it's going to be huge. It's going to have a pond in it with fish, aquaponics, the whole 9 yards. You still get sunlight in the winter, provided you're in the right elevation, the right area, facing the right way. It's a matter of creating the warmth within the greenhouse to keep it at the right temperature for the winter. So sometimes that can be an issue. Like I did at my greenhouse back here, I originally was using electric heaters. That was super expensive. Then I put in a hot water tank, and that worked awesome.
I mean, how expensive do you think a greenhouse would be? Like,
well, with the plans that I have, it will totally be self-sustaining. There'll be no gasoline, no oil, no propane involved. It'll all be solar powered, and I've got plans for a self-running generator. It's not a perpetual generator, as in I don't ever have to do anything to it. I'll have to change a motor out. So I'm big into the electricity stuff now. I've studied it all my life. I've worked in AC and DC. So I want to create something that'll, I'll have to change out a motor here or there, but it'll be self-running and producing power.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that it's not going to be like something.
Probably knows where I'm going with this.
I'm thinking that it's not going to be something, just going completely to self-sustainable energy isn't something you can do just cold turkey. I think it's something that's gradual,
Well, yeah, you need to have money and resources to be able to do it.
Right.
Some guy that doesn't know anything, unless you got all kinds of money, I suppose you could implement. I have my own ideas, the way I want things to be done and the way I see it being built, and I can build it myself. It's just a matter of being in the situation where I can do it. Like I'd have to sell my house, everything here, and move out to the country, find a piece of land, and then start building it, right?
Right. I think it would be cool to start some type of community though, because I think it's easier to do it with the community rather than doing it by yourself. It's all right. I'm gonna do all this, blah blah blah, and be out in the country by myself. It's like,
That's what we're working towards. And also we were talking about because Jason used to work satellite internets, so satellite, right? We're even gonna create our own internet tower, right? Then we'll have our own outlet because we still want to teach the truth. But guys, I'm gonna cut this short. I gotta run out. I'm just gonna end it with this video, but please let's do this again. Put in the comments, anyone who made it to the end here, thank you. Topics, any ideas, and you guys message me on Zoom if you guys want any topics, or if you ever want to like schedule a talk or get involved in getting a group going like that. I'm all for it, guys.
All right, I'm gonna do some brainstorming on my part. I mean, I'm pretty good at expediting and putting things together, but like I'm not like an electrical engineer. I have a biology degree, but I can't really provide much information towards the physics of renewable energy and all that stuff. But I don't know. I'm definitely throw some ideas at you guys.
Cool, guys. Yeah, thanks, Blue. Let me know when you're available again, man.
Yeah, anytime, man.
Okay, cool. I love that. That's the best answer. That's faith, right? That's all we can ask for. Shout out to Jeff Ray. He says check out his dome, plastic air barrier type geodesic domes to grow in cold climates called kingdom.org. Yeah, guys, if you guys want to mute, I'm just going to play something here. Shout out to Jeff Ray. Shout out to Rihanna Quiggs. Shout out to Cartoon Ball. Shout out to Nimblehorse. Shout out to Theodore Daniel. Thank you so much for showing up, brother. Keep going with what you do. You definitely build up the spirit. Nimblehorse, thank you. Always Enslaved by Media, thank you. Everybody else that was here, thank you all so much. Thank you, Part-Time Vegan, and thank you, Blue Blood. You guys are great. Everybody be blessed. Play this video and shut it down.
Science is that we observe and we test our hypotheses, our ideas, and we base decisions on facts.
As far as clouds being able to be in front of and behind something. I want to share with you some footage I shot recently. It was in the last 2 weeks of a rainbow. And you can clearly see here that there are clouds in front of the rainbow and there's clouds behind. Okay, otherwise there'd be blue skies.
When conflicts of principle arise, that's when major new paradigms can shift. Some of us, particularly Harad and myself, very, very strongly felt that this really undermined everything that we knew about physics. Everything that we know about physics today, and even much earlier, was based on a principle of physics which is so basic that we sometimes forget to mention it to our students. It's the idea that information never disappears. And I'll tell you what that means. Information means distinctions between things. A hydrogen atom is not a oxygen atom. An oxygen atom is not a hydrogen atom. There are distinctions between these things. And it was a very, very basic principle of physics that distinctions never disappear, that they may get scrambled, that they may get all mixed up, but if you start with one configuration and you let it go, or you start with a different configuration which has different information and you let it go, they'll stay different. And Stephen was saying exactly the opposite. No matter what you throw into the black hole, in the end you get out exactly the same thing. It was extremely difficult to see what was wrong with what he was saying. It was even harder to make him understand that there had to be something wrong with what he was saying. So it was very, very frustrating. Science is that we observe and we test our hypotheses, our ideas. We base decisions on facts. But at the same time, it was very exhilarating to come up against this basic problem of...
So we've got this one. The light is bending down above the Planck surface, not around it all. And someone at sunset on a flat Earth. We almost didn't have to introduce this last one. But this is what it's demonstrating.
Exhilarating to come up against this basic problem of conflict of principles. And if anything can break the impasses in physics, if there are no experiments available, it's conflicts of principle. And if anything can break the impasses in physics, if there are no experiments available, it's conflicts of principle. When conflicts of principle arise, that's when major new paradigms can shift.
That's the excitement.
So to simply state that a conflict of principle is nothing more than a simple paradigm shift is underestimating the true value and nature of principles being changed. 2016 brought so many ups and downs, yet people have to retrospectively introspect and completely absorb and resonate with all the data and information that we have been given and been a part of, swimming through the data and understanding the new heights and capabilities of being a flat earther is liberating. It's limitless. And there's nothing more that I could want to do with my free time and with my ambition than to reach out to you and everyone else that feels the same way as me. All I can hope is that 2017 brings with it new horizons and new limitless ways for us to raise the bar and to truly discover the realm, the rendering nature of our reality, and to display it with passion, art, skill, and precise timing and patience. And I'm thankful that everyone can bear with my spelling and editing mistakes as much as I can bear with everyone else's. The main goal is that we achieve to higher things. The levity of the situation is all the electrical information. What more can we do? What more can we say? How else can we reach more people? What are your goals? How has 2016 treated you? Have you learned anything? Information that's just literally flows through us, to us, and there's nothing we can do to get away from it. The speed of light is not a constant. The Earth is not a spinning ball. This is a stationary plane with limitless possibilities. Very fact and notion that we're not moving, and that time, that is something that is not relative, opens up the door to a limitless amount of things. I know that the goodness in people will prevail. So stay tuned, stay alive, stay engaged, push yourself, be limitless. You are free, you are a part of this, and you can make a difference.